Fingers crossed and all that.
Okay.
The excited seconds as YouTube hopefully begins to load. Fingers crossed and all that. I can hear myself on YouTube. Oh my god.
All right. Heck
I
yeah.
can hear myself. Now, have we lost your audio signal? Chat, can you hear the
boy,
guest?
Yeah, that's... If you lost me, that's great. All right, another problem to solve.
The low sound, but sound, yeah. I might be soft. I have no idea, chat. I have absolutely no earthly fucking notion. Right now, Streamlabs says that I'm coming through the shitty mic on my headset, which I can hear from the audio quality is not the case. So I don't know what I pressed. I don't know what happened, but we might be here. We'll just have to suffer.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to turn want to turn my mic volume down? That might help.
I'll adjust you a little bit on the fly here, so that should be fine. But yes, I am so sorry, sir.
Oh. Like I said, I'm easygoing. We're just hanging out, talking about stuff.
God, I was really excited for this interview, incredibly excited, because like what you didn't hear was me introducing the man. This is Michael-Scott Earle, huge name in the male-centric romance LITRPG sphere. Super excited to have you on, and then we have 37 minutes of fucking audio issues.
Yeah. Howdy, y'all. That's how it goes, though.
Apparently. So a reboot appears to have fixed it, chat. At least I assume it was the reboot or magic. Pick whichever reason fits you best. And yes, chat, I will be a little soft. I don't know if I dare try to boost myself, because I imagine terrible things will happen. I genuinely imagine terrible things will fucking happen. Like, if I go on the background right now and try to do, like, the decibel boost, God alone knows what will occur. The world may end. It's a non-zero possibility. So you shall just boost your volume a little bit, chat, and I'll try to adjust for the guest, and hopefully it'll work out. Right. Getting to the actual point at long last. Michael-Scott Earle, big name author, prolific author with a ton of books to your name, and a video game as well. That's pretty goddamn awesome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Hi, everyone.
There will be a link, of course, down in the comment section, down in the description below, where you can go and visit his website, where you can get some of his books actually for free, which is the cheapest book price I have ever actually seen.
Buttery butt.
A genuine steal. Unironically, literally a genuine steal.
Yeah.
And also,
but that's like I said earlier, that's my strategy. Get them hooked. Then they buy the rest. I'm a little drug dealer. Giving you male power fantasy books for free.
And why not? Why not? Yeah. Well, actually, before the entire disaster that ensued, we briefly talked about this, how there just wasn't a whole lot of these kinds of books on the market. And then you came along and decided, well, I think this is a good idea. And it was.
Yeah. I wrote my first series, Destroyer. I think I started in like 2011. If you want to get the details of that, or kind of how I started.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I grew up reading just a ton of fantasy books and science fiction. Alan Dean Foster was like my biggest. Like I read so many of his books. I read all the classic Dragonlance books and the old Forgotten Realms books, and I played D&D with my friends. We played a ton of Shadowrun. Legend of the Five Rings, Palladium stuff like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. I don't know if you're familiar with any of those old role-playing games, but
A
I
little
freaking
bit.
loved them.
Like that's old school
Yeah,
TNMT.
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that. It was
yeah,
very different from the TMNT we have today.
yeah. And I used to just like if my friends weren't around, I would just sit and read like the source books and just come up with fun ideas for games that I could run. So yeah, I was very bored as a kid. I played a bunch of video games and stuff like that. So I was a full on nerd. And I went to college. I actually had a full ride for music.
Oh,
I played oboe, and I was in college. I went to Cal State Northridge in Southern California in the San Fernando Valley, kind of where they filmed all the Karate Kid stuff. If anyone's not too familiar with that area. But I was going to school there, and look, I love music, and I liked playing oboe, but I didn't really love it. And all of my instructors were amazingly talented, and my teacher in college was actually the first chair of the LA Philharmonic, but she could barely afford to live, like rice and beans, and like barely making any money, picking up whatever gigs she could have. And I was spending so much time at school going to classes, and after school I was practicing and making reeds, because when you play oboe you have to make the reeds, like you take it's a really complicated process, but I just so much time in it, and I was like, man, I'm working really really hard to be poor. um and yeah, I just was like, I don't want to do this. And I'd always been pretty good at talking with people, and people said I was somewhat charming. So my grandfather was just a sales guy. He worked for a faucet company selling faucets, and he's like, man, if you understand money and you can sell stuff, you'll go as far as you want to go in life. So I was like, well, I kind of want to talk to people. I'm decent at math. Let me go and change my major. So I dropped my scholarship, got a degree in finance, and then outside of school, I got a job with a sales company. I started off doing accounting for them, and then I moved up in the ranks and became like a director of sales. And I was working. They did door to door full commission sales, and they worked with big clients, um, selling like business services or residential services door to door, straight cold calling. So I learned really quickly how to like sell stuff and how to teach people how to sell stuff. And I'd been there 7 8 years, and I was on this project. We were actually selling cell phones for T-Mobile, and I was flying every week. I was on the road, and I was flying to all over the country. And I was married at the time, and I had a kid, and kind of was. I'd read I think you go through this phase, like at least I did after college. I was like, oh, I'm going to be really good at business and self improvement. I read all these business self improvement books, and I started reading. I just started like, man, these are just really redundant after a while. After you read like, I don't know, a couple dozen of them, it's the same shit, right? Like, and a lot of this stuff
Are
could be
you
like a
ready
few
to rub
paragraphs,
this yellow
right?
mare's fluttery, buttery
Like
butt?
one of my favorite business books is The Obstacle of the Way, and by I think it's Ryan Holiday. And the whole point of the thing is, the thing that you're having a challenge with, that's the thing you got to overcome. All right, that's a really short summary, right? It's like you don't need a huge long book for it, right? It's my favorite one, and I recommend it to people. But like it's 300 pages of like that concept rehashed over and over and over again. So I was like, I'm done with these business books. I haven't read a fantasy book in forever. Let me just try to read other fantasy books. So I picked up Name of the Wind by Pat Rothfuss. And I was stuck on a plane and I read it, and I just could not help but think to myself, what the fuck is with this book, man? Like, it was probably my least favorite book I've ever read. I was stuck on a plane, so I just read it just to pass the time. But I'd never encountered a protagonist that was such a whiny bitch and said he was so badass and did nothing badass the entire book. Now the prose was really good. Like, he wrote amazing sentences. There was good detail there. But like, I finished that book, I'm like, this guy said he was a genius. All he did was stupid shit. He said it was the world's best mage. He did no fucking magic. He got carried like through halfway through the book. Like, there was supposed to be romance and stuff in there. None of that happened. And I'm sitting here like, this guy's a New York Times bestseller. Like, I could write a way better book, right? And so I got to my hotel that night, and I opened up my laptop, and I just started fucking writing. No outline, no nothing. I was like, I'm going to write the book, right? And so I wrote half of Destroyer just on the plane, in hotels. I wrote it. And then my wife actually went to school for editing. She did movie script, screenplay editing. And she had like freelance gigs, like editing people's scripts. And she worked with a couple people in Hollywood. Nothing like major or anything. She just, that was her gig. And I got halfway through the book, and I like say, "Hey, I'm writing a book. Do you want to maybe read it?" And so she read it, and she's like, "This is really good. Like, how did you learn how to write? Like the sentences actually make sense, and the story is compelling and really good." And I mean, she's like, "It's really, really violent, and there's a lot of sex in it. It's like very descriptive, but like, how did you do this? Like, you're like a sales business guy." And I'm like, I don't know. I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons growing up, and I read a lot of books. And when I was writing, I just was like, I would write a sentence and I would read it out loud in my head. I'm like, does this make sense? Like, if I say the sentence out loud, does it make sense? You know, and is it how we talk? And I call my style, my writing style, like conversational prose, right? Like, if you could read my books out loud and it makes sense, that's how I try to write. So I don't try to write too complicated. I don't use like weird kind of metaphors. Like I say like post modifiers for nouns. So if I say you know, you might say like, I pick up the box large and white and I put it on the table. Like, a lot of people write like that, but I'm like, you don't talk like that. You talk, I pick up the large white box and put it on the table. So like everything I do is kind of look through that lens of like, is that actually how you would say the thing? So anyways, I finished the book. And then I had a bunch of my friends read it, and my friends were all like, kind of like, what the hell? This is like amazing. You did really good role playing games when you were jamming, but like this book is really, really good. And I gave it to a bunch of work friends that didn't even read fantasy, and they all read it. And they're like, "This is like one of the best books I've ever read." And I was like, so I was kind of encouraged by that. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I should like try to find a publisher or something. And I'm like, well, if I find a publisher, it's gonna be hard if I have a book one. Like I looked at Patrick Rothfuss, and I'm like, this dude wrote one book and then didn't do anything else at that time for a long time. I think he came up with a second book eventually, but I was like, well, maybe I'll write a book 2 and a book 3 and a book 4, and I kind of figure out like the whole storyline for this. It'll make it more acceptable for publishers to pick up, right? So I start working on book 2 and book 3 and book 4, and I'm writing the whole time, and I'm kind of like starting to pay attention to like what is actually going on in publishing right now, and who should I shop the book with, and all this stuff. And I realized there was no way anyone was going to publish this book. Absolutely no way, right? It was a male protagonist that didn't take shit from anyone. He freaking killed people he didn't like. He had sex with all the women, right? And he was unapologetic about anything he did. He's like, this is the way it's going to be. I'm going to kick ass and do things, right? And I didn't realize at the time it was pretty much a harem novel because you sleep with all the women, right? I was just thinking like, well, people like James Bond, he gets with different girls all the movies, right? And like, I just thought like, hey, why pick one hot woman if there's a bunch of hot women in the story? Just have sex with all of them, right? If you're bad at ass enough, you can get through it, you know? So I realized I'm like, there's no way I'm going to find anyone to publish this book, right? And then I started kind of saying, hey, there's this thing on Amazon. You can just put the book up on Amazon and people will buy it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, like this is even better because now I get to kind of design the cover. Like I had a specific ideas in my head of what I wanted the cover to look like. And I was thinking like Michael Whalen style art, which I mean, you might be familiar with his art. But he does a lot of the classic 80s and 90s fantasy books where you've got kind of a character posed up front, and he just looks super badass. So I found a really great artist, hired him to do the covers. I don't know if you see the cover for Destroyer 1, it looks fucking badass. Like a dude in like a skull armor with like a mace and a shield and like green magic around him, you know. So I went and, you know, my wife helped me edit the first couple books, but I kind of was like watching what she did when she edited, and I was like, oh, I can kind of self-edit this stuff. Like, I can like, I saw what she was doing and some of the, you know, the things she was saying. I'm like, I can do that. So she did the first 2 books and I did the 3rd and 4th. And as I edited my stuff, I got a little better at like, oh, this is like a better way to write the sentence, and this is like, you know, a better way to phrase a problem. And one of the challenges I had with the series was it was the first stuff I've ever written, and there's time jumps in it, and it's multiple point of views. So I'm a little bit of a fan of postmodern books, where it, like, you have a really unreliable narrator, and the story skips around, and you kind of have to like use your brain to like figure things out. If you've ever read like a Gene Wolfe book, like I really like Gene Wolfe, but like it's heavy lifting for a lot of people, and like you know, he wrote what's like his main series, Book of the New Sun. It's like his main thing. But you can read those books like multiple times and like, oh, you find something new each time. But that's kind of the stuff I really liked when I wrote. And so I was like, well, if I'm doing time jumps, time skips, different point of views, I should finish the 4 books and then make sure everything kind of ties up in a nice little bow at the end. And when I got to the fourth book, I'm like, oh, actually, I did it with my first pass. Everything ties up really well. I pat myself on the head, like, good brain. You did a good job with it. And did the covers and the editing, and then I put my first book out for free on Amazon, and I put my second book out at the same time while I was working on the third and fourth. And that first week it was out, I made more money than I made like 3 months working my corporate gig. And I was like, oh shit. I guess like people like the book, you know? And then I put book three out, and it did really well too. And yeah, then I was like, okay, I guess I'm writing full time now. And I quit my corporate job and I started writing, put out the fourth book. And then I started working on a whole bunch of other series. And almost like those, I think I wrote like 9 books really, really quickly. And almost all of those flopped.
Oh.
And they did really bad, like
Classic.
super bad. Yeah, and I was like, holy crap, that's disappointing. No one liked these books. Well, I mean, people liked them. People said, hey, your writing is really great. I like the characters, but like people just really didn't get into them. And I was kind of like, what's going on? And at the time, I was kind of filled with a lot of ego, and I'm like, well, the customers are just fucking dumb, man. Like, I'm writing my books. My books are awesome, right? Like, people, you know, they're dumb. They don't like my books, right? And you know, I was like so full of myself and really angry. And then I kind of had this like epiphany. I'm like, hey, there's like a lot of really good selling books in the world that aren't written well, like Twilight. And especially in the independent market space. Like, there's this author, Michael Anderlein, who writes sci-fi. And him and I we're not friends anymore, but we were at chat at the time, and he's like, yeah, like, you just need to learn how to write better, man. You should write better like me, you know? And I read his books, and I was like, oh man, like, this guy like can't even string a sentence together, right? Like, it's obviously not the writing, you know? And I was looking at his books, I'm like, his books were selling like amazing. I was like, man, it's it's not the writing, because it's like word salad. I could barely understand anything he was writing down. His covers weren't great. I'm like, so it's gotta just be like something in the story. So I read through the book, and I was like, oh my God, like, the main character is badass. She just kills everything she wants to kill and is unapologetic and just kicks ass. Like what I did with Destroyer, right? With my first series. And like I had like the epiphany, right? I got the freaking universe come into my head. I'm like, dude, people just want to read fun stories, man. They want to have a good time. They don't need like all the other stuff I was putting up. They don't need the art that was in the book. They just really want to self-insert as a protagonist, have a great time killing the villains, and then bang all the women. And then I wrote like all my other books around that. And then my career shot through the roof. And I was doing awesome, doing amazing, right? I came out with Lion's Quest, which did really good as a LITRPG. I did Star Justice, which was great, about the Were-Tiger in space. That was like, the first book came out and it hit like 200 in the store on Amazon. I wrote Tamer, King of Dinosaurs. I wrote all these different series. And we're just keeping that whole thought process of like, I want my readers to self-insert as a protagonist and have a really good time and kick ass and bang all the women, right? Because that's what I wanted. That's when I read Name of the Wind, and I was like, I don't like this book because the guy's a little bitch, right? So I'm like, and then I wrote a bunch of books after Destroyer where like the main character was kind of a little bitch, right? Because I was trying to get into like the art of the process. I was like, no, man, I just need to write fun books for dudes. That's all I got to do, right? And I'm already proven I can do that with Destroyer. So then I just kept doing it, and here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it is all too easy to get lost in the art of a thing on occasion. And well, you were very successful in that on Amazon, but a little bit too successful, from what I understand.
Yeah.
As Amazon apparently didn't quite like that.
Yeah, I got an email in July of 2018, I think it was, and they basically said like, "Hey, we're closing down your account because you've been gaming our Kindle Unlimited system."
Just cold dropped like that. Just an email like, "Hey, we're closing down your account because we think you gamed our system."
Yeah, and so if people don't know what Kindle Unlimited is, it's you pay like $12 a month and you can read unlimited amount of books on Amazon that are in that Kindle Unlimited kind of platform, or that have that kind of notation in Amazon. And I had some books in it, not all of them, but I had some books in Kindle Unlimited. And what they do is they take like basically the $12 that everyone puts in, or maybe it was $10 at the time, but they put that money in a big pot. And they determine like, well, how many pages did customers read of your books, and they split it up between the authors.
Mm-hmm.
So they said you have, so they basically wouldn't give me a reason. They're like, we're just kicking you off, and they kicked off around 20 other authors at the same time, romance authors mostly, and me. And that was kind of the anomaly because it was like people were looking at me like, who the hell is this guy writing books for dudes? But they saw my covers like, oh, this guy's got really good covers. So maybe that's like, kind of helping with sales. But so I got a lawyer, and you sign a contract with Amazon. We start publishing that you got to go to arbitration. So we did our suit. We went to arbitration. We got to the judge or the arbitrator, whatever. I think he's actually a judge, right? I don't know the actual term, but we sat down and basically there's like our terms of services. We can do whatever the fuck we want to do, and we don't want to have you on our store, so we're kicking you off. And I gotten that advice from everyone that I talked to. They were like, don't even bother suing them. Don't bother going to arbitration. They're just gonna win, right? They're just gonna win. It's their store. They can do what they want. Like if they're throwing a pool party and they didn't invite you, you just can't show up. And I was like, yeah, but like I kind of want to know why, right? Like I didn't do anything wrong except for I was coming out, like I think I told you before we jumped on this podcast, or I was writing like crazy. I was doing around 10,000 words a day. Like my hands hurt every day. I was writing so much, and I was putting out like 3 books a month, and each of those books was like the 12th best seller in the store. So I was just because I didn't really have a lot of competition. There were lots of authors in my genre, like 4 or 5, but they weren't writing books as fast as me. They were doing maybe a book every quarter. These guys are all writing great books, super good books, but like I knew at the time when I wrote a book that took me like 80 to 100 hours to write, and my fans were like, that day they finished the book. And they're like, cool, when's the next one? I'm like, oh man, there is a huge demand here. Like I gotta like write, like, like I'm making great money. I have tons of fans. Like I don't want to be like Patrick Rothfuss and fucking sit on my ass and not give these guys books, right? Like people dream about being an author. Like they stay up at night and they're like, I really, really want this thing. I want to do this hobby, this art, and make money. So how dare I not get there and then not fucking make the books, right? Like what's that line from Fight Club? Like I wanted to put a bullet in the head of every panda that didn't want to fuck, right? Like I didn't want to be that guy, right? So I was like working my ass off because I was so grateful that I made it, So I was like, so we're at the arbitration. I'm like, I'm putting out like 3 books a month that are hitting 12th in the store. Like I'm your best selling author on the store. And they're like, yeah, but you're not spending any money on advertisements with us. That's just, you're making the most money in our store, but you're not spending a single dime with us on advertising. And so you must be cheating. We don't know how, but you must be cheating. And I was like, well, I'm not though, and that, I mean, that the judge ruled in their favor because they're like, look, it's their store, it's their terms of service, whatever,
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, platforms legislate via terms of service, and the terms of service basically says we can do whatever the fuck we want. You have no rights.
Yeah. And I had people that like were, maybe like knew someone that worked there that were like, yeah, like they don't like you. They saw your covers and they know who you write for, and they didn't want to like do, they don't want you on their store. But I mean, all the romance authors they banned wrote books for women. So like, I really just think they took like the top crop of people, and they cut the head off the snake, and they're like, okay, like this will, do people get banned on Amazon all the time? Like just randomly they get banned and they just don't get reactivated. And they have no idea why. But I mean, the good news is I had such a strong following of people that I was able to just go independent, just sell completely on my own platform. There's a company called BookFunnel that'll host the books and distribute them. And then Shopify plugs into BookFunnel. So I have my storefront with Shopify, and people buy the books on a website, and they get the book through BookFunnel, and BookFunnel can distribute the book on a Kindle, or you can listen to the audiobook on the app on your phone. And it works out super, super good. And I keep like 92% of what I sell the book for versus on Amazon, it was like 65%. So that's like way better for margins.
When I contacted you, I asked you for one of your book recommendations that I could go through before talking to you, because I like to, get a little bit to know the author's work. I went through BookFunnel. It was completely painless, super easy. Just open it in your browser. Perfect, because at first I was given a bunch of names, and yours was one of them. So I went to Amazon and started searching. I was like, who's this guy? He's not popping up on Amazon. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is kind of a little bit discouraging is that, I see there's Facebook groups and social media groups, and they're like, oh, like Michael-Scott Earle, you should read his books, and people are like, I've never heard of that guy.
Yeah.
So, well, because he's on Amazon, you got to go to my own site. So if you don't know about me, you're not going to see the books. But I have really, I think most authors on Amazon, they get about, like, from a book 1 to a book 2, they get about a 50% buy through, and then every book after that, they sit around 70%. At least all the authors that I've talked to and I've worked with, I have like a 80% buy through from a book 1 to a book 2, and then everything after that is like a 95% buy through. So people really like my books, and I think also it also could help that, like, because you actually buy the book, you feel more like you committed to the series and are going to keep buying them. And I think with Kindle Unlimited, it kind of encourages a behavior of, like, maybe you don't give a book a chance or the story a chance because it's free. You pay for it, so you, like, start watching it. You start reading the first couple minutes of it. You're like, it's not grabbing me. Next one, and then sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get into the story. And a lot of authors I talk today, I'm like, you got to really, really hook them in, like, that first chapter, because they're going to be reading on Kindle Unlimited. And if they don't like it, they're going to ditch it and go somewhere else. So it's definitely, way more competitive now in this kind of industry than it was, 10 years ago when I started.
Yeah. Because interestingly, the two of us kind of share a little bit of a similarity in this, because when I started on YouTube, I was very excited for a game that was coming out. It was Total War Warhammer, set in the Warhammer setting, which has always been one of my huge favorite settings. Yeah. And when I started doing that, there was nobody else doing Warhammer lore. There was like one other channel that had been doing it for like years and years, never really got any traction. I started doing this my way, blew up, became very, very popular because of that. Too popular, eventually. And I basically spawned my own competition. Virtually every Warhammer YouTuber that exists today is one way or another after me. And I mean, you too created a lot of this genre where you came on, you're like, listen, you can earn money on this. There's an audience, there's a starving audience out there that wants this stuff. Start writing.
Yeah. See, you say Warhammer Dawn of War? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Warhammer. The setting behind it, the miniatures and everything.
Yep. I had friends that played the miniature games. I never got into it because I was always scared I would get crazy addicted to it. But I love playing the video games, and I was like Dawn of War 2, which was squad-based real-time strategy. Amazing game. And I loved how you got equipment and you could outfit the Marines based on, like, what you wanted them to do, and you can make little builds with your squad. And I loved it so much that my whole entire series, Space Knights, is from that idea of that game. I was like, well, this is so cool. What if I wrote a book where I had a badass hero that could get new armor and new weapons and stuff and bang all the women? Right? But I knew, like, so I was like, well, but, like, knights are cool. I fucking love knights in space. Let's do that instead of Marines, right?
Yeah.
And that's the whole series for Space Knight was I got from playing Dawn of War, because I just thought, and I love Warhammer. I play Vermintide, I play Darktide. I love those games. Everything is so awesome with that. But for me personally, I like to have romance in my stories, and you don't get any of that with Warhammer.
There's not a whole lot of romance in those books.
So that's why I always kind of felt it was like a little bit lacking for me in the story. It was the same thing with Ark Survival. I was playing Ark Survival. I love the game so much. But I was like, there's no story here, and there's no hot women. Like, what, that's what I'm missing. And so I came with Tamer. And it's funny because I was playing that with a buddy of mine who's an author. And I was like, man, I really, really want to write a story with dinosaurs and fort building and hot babes. And he's like, dude, no one reads books about dinosaurs. And I was like, well, what about Jurassic Park? Like, people love Jurassic Park. He's like, yeah, that's the only one. That is the only book out there that's ever made money talking about dinosaurs. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe you're right. But, like, dude, like, Ark is awesome. And they sold me on Ark. Like, I had friends of mine that were like, hey, I'm playing this game, Ark Survival. And I'm like, nah, I got too many games. Like, yeah, but you get to ride dinosaurs. And I was like, ride dinosaurs? Fuck yeah, I'm in. I am there. Like, let's go. I'm installing this game right now. So, like, I go and look on Amazon under dinosaurs, and I find all these books about dinosaurs, and all of them had negative reviews. There was a ton of negative reviews, and, like, yeah, these books didn't sell, but I read the reviews and people were like, I really love Dinosaurs, but this book did not do Dinosaurs right. They missed all this stuff. It's not fun, all this stuff. And I was like, man, I think if I do it and I'm like good at it, and I love dinosaurs, right? And I love fort building, like I watch all those little survival videos, like I just love them. I'm like, if I do a really good job with dinosaurs, a really good job with fort, and I know I can write good romance, I think I can have a really good series here. And my pal was like, nah, man, it's just not gonna work. And then Tamer came out and just like was the bestseller on Amazon for like 3 months straight. Right. And my buddy was like, all right, I'm fucking wrong. He's like, you can just do whatever you want now. Like, you're just going to make money on your books. And I'm like, I don't know if it's that true, but I go back to like, will my readers, will my customers like this thing? Like, if I think it's cool, maybe they will too. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and like this too, like this is almost a little bit crazy to me because, I mean, dinosaurs are awesome. Who doesn't think dinosaurs are awesome? And I get exactly the trap a lot of the other people probably fell into. And that's the thing, that if you try to do very serious anything, historical, dinosaurs, etc., people who know minutia even better than you are going to find that annoying because they're going to spot the little errors. But if you do it in the setting you do as well, where the primary emphasis is on survival, on romance, the attractive women, and the dinosaurs are kind of the spice, that means that you avoid the autism radar while still having a dinosaurs. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. That's you hit the nail on the head there with so many things, and it's hard. I think the difficulty with a lot of people writing books is you misjudge how autistic the readers are going to be, and they will really pick apart anything you do wrong. And I always say that the magazine and the clip thing is a prime example. Like I have a lot. My brother-in-law's in the Marines, and I was out shooting with him once, and he was calling them a clip, and I'm like, if I say it's a clip in my books, I will have people like threaten to kill me.
You will be skinned alive. Yes.
So, yeah, and it's like, but here's the dude that's a Marine, did like 4 tours in Afghanistan. He's calling it a freaking clip, and I'm like, he just, So I think there's definitely an art to like not describing the thing, but not getting too far in the weeds where it looks like where you're gonna get out expertised. So I made sure with my fort building stuff. I mean, you read the first book, like Victor doesn't know really how to build a fort. He's never done before. So he's like, okay, I have a couple different ideas on how to do this, right? And let me try something. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, it didn't work because of this. Let me try this way now. Okay, that doesn't work. And I feel like when I try to write stories, I'm like, as long as it's a reasonable, like, like it feels like, oh, if I have all the information that this protagonist has, would I make that same decision? And that's kind of how you got to do it. With these books, because you're almost playing Dungeons and Dragons with yourself. We've got to kind of like, okay, as the dungeon master, I'm gonna give all the information to the protagonist, right? And then you're like, okay, now I'm gonna take off my dungeon master hat. I'm gonna walk to the side of the table. I'm gonna sit down. I'm like, okay, now I'm the hero, and this is what I have. What's the best decision I'm gonna make given the stuff without any interference, right? So you kind of have like split personalities when you're writing these books. So I try to do that with all my novels. I'm like, what's a really challenging problem? I just fucking lob it in there. And then I go on the other side. I'm like, okay, crap, this is a really difficult problem for the hero to solve. And then like I'm trying to rack my brain, like what's a clever way he could solve it? What's the best way for him to solve it? What's the way he would solve it where everyone reading the book would be like, I'll agree that's a good idea, right? And you can't make everyone happy, but if you make most of the people happy with the decision, then you did a good job with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's definitely like I've had people approach me and be I have this actually email printed out, and I look at it every now and then. This guy sent me this very, very angry email about Space Knight because one of the classes of a Space Knight is a Lich Knight. And this guy was like, a Lich is this thing from Dungeons and Dragons. It's an evil wizard that's been dead, and all. He just ranted and raved for like, I don't know, 20,000 words, like half a novel, right? About how like I should not have called these knights Liches. I should have called them Death Knights or something like that. And I was like, man, this guy is like, this guy's really passionate about. Really passionate, yeah. This guy might shake me in a con if I show up. He sees me in a con, right? Right? He's that mad about it, But I'm like, dude, you can't make everyone happy, right? But you just try to do your best to make most of the people happy that are reasonable,
Yeah,
and I have like 5 proofreaders that are like on the spectrum, and like they're super good at like catching stuff in there that I'm like, okay, because everyone's got like, I mean, we're all dudes, we all like have a little bit of autism in us, right? We all like hyper focus on some shit, right? And we all like stuff. So like everyone's got a different amount of like that stuff. And like I think mine is like I want specific details about like distances. Even though it's alright if you read my book, like okay, it's this far away, it's this close, it's this size. Like I need to get like a really like grasp on like how big or long or distance is from some things, right? And a lot of people were like, "That's really like why do you do that?" And I'm like, well, part of it's like me, like I need to do that. But the other part is like when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, they would need to know like how far away things were to make game decisions, right? So I always kind of incorporated that into like my storytelling. Yeah, and I just like that's just it. Like I just do it that way, right? And some people like it just their autism doesn't like that because they want more general stuff. But that's what I do, right? So again, you can't make everyone happy.
Absolutely. But you clearly made quite a lot of people happy, and you've built your own infrastructure now to facilitate continuing writing and distributing your books, which is also really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And then there's Tamer. Now, the King of Dinosaurs, the game, which is very interesting, because this is kind of like a brand new, fresh frontier in many ways. Because adult video games basically come in two flavors. There's the Japanese visual novels, which are either just porn or massive, complicated story books with metaphors and all kinds of crazy stuff. Or you have Western games, which also have been largely just smut, which also gain a very negative reputation for being very low effort.
Yeah.
But Tamer, King of Dinosaurs, your game is basically your book in video game format. And because I'm thinking to myself, because I've always been a huge fan of the idea of romance and companion characters in games, because I reason at this point we've seen every story. We've fought dragons, we've fought World War I, we've done everything. The only way we can experience this again in a fresh perspective is with somebody else, like somebody there explaining the story to us, showing us the world, and allowing us to experience it as a new person. You know, show don't tell in essence. So the idea of having a story like that, focusing primarily on the story, on the characters, on the romance, is very appealing to me. And I would think there would be a huge market for that in gaming, like interactive gameplay experience, primarily men, like 80% male audience and so on. If anything, like...
Well, so far, you are correct, because both you and I thought that, and we are both right, it seems.
Yeah.
With my books, I started thinking, like, I said a lot of stuff about, like, I'm trying to make my customers happy and stuff like that, but I think the core, like, stuff of what I do is I want to write a really good story that also has adult content in it. Like, I don't want to have a faded black sex scene. I want to have really good story, but you also get descriptive sex scenes, right? But if you just have descriptive sex scenes, it's just porn. If you just have a good story, it's not the same thing, right? So I'm like, I want to have a good story and I want to have the sex in there. So you're right. When I look at the video games, you get one or the other. You get a good game or you get the sex, and you don't have the both. So I'm like, what if I make a really, really good game that has the good sex in it too? Like, is there a market for that? And I thought back to, all the Mass Effect games I played where I tried to woo all the women, and, they had kind of some sex scenes in that game, but like not really very descriptive. It's like, kind of fade to black. I thought about the Witcher stuff. I thought about like any kind of dating sim game that was also a good game that had that kind of effect. And it was just like, so I just really love those games. And I noticed with, the Witcher books, I'm not a huge fan of the books, and maybe it's something with like the Polish translation or whatever. I like the concept of Geralt, and like all the cool stuff he does, and I love the world setting, but like actual stories in the books, I'm like, these aren't my favorite. But he created something awesome with the setting, but I noticed every single time a Witcher game came out, his books were the best-selling books in Amazon for months, and I saw that, and I was like, huh. There are way, way more video game players than there are book readers. Because it was the inverse, there would be no rise in the sale, really. Maybe like a little bump here or there, but we're talking like astronomical, like the best-selling author on Amazon for months when the games came out.
It's so I always kind of had that hobby now. Like, it's bigger than movies. It's become totally socially acceptable to play video games.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started thinking like, okay, if I can do a game then it'll help with book sales. And I think if I do a game with that philosophy of like a really, really good game that also has adult scenes in it, it'll probably do good because my books do good, right? Like that's what I was thinking, right? And we started looking at the kind of what's, so I found a guy that has experience doing adult games, and he had a team that had experience doing adult games. They were leaving their project that they were working on, which is an adult game that's pretty big in the industry right now, or was big. So these guys had somewhat experience, not like infinite amount of experience, but they knew how to make an adult game. And we started looking at IPs, and I got along really well with them all. And we were just like, well, I mean, Tamer's my best IP sales wise, right? Like I think everyone's got a favorite series of mine, but I think Tamer's is easier to approach. The hook is really easy, right? It's like a dog catcher from Los Angeles gets picked up by aliens and put on a prehistoric dinosaur world where he's got to build forts and have sex with beautiful alien women. That's a really good elevator pitch, right? And whenever at a con, I hand someone the book. I'm like, "Do you like dinosaurs?" They're like, "Yes." Like, "Do you like building forts?" They're like, "Yes." "Do you like hot alien babes?" They're like, "Yes." I'm like, "Cool, this is the book for you," and they buy it, right? They're like, "Okay, awesome. That's yep, you checked all my boxes, right?" This is a really easy elevator pitch. So I thought the game would be a really easy elevator pitch too. Not to get too in depth in the numbers, but we really haven't done any marketing. I've got some fans that have bought it. I hired some cosplayers to do some cosplay, but we haven't really done that much marketing with YouTubers. And the game is like blown me away with how well it's done. And that's translated a lot to book sales that I was surprised. Like I thought maybe I would get maybe 10% of the people that bought the game would buy the books, but it looks like 40% of the people that bought the game are buying my books, right? So I'm kind of blown away with that, and people that haven't heard of me before are discovering my books, and the game's doing great. We have a ton of work to do on the game. It's early access right now. We got a lot of improvements we got to make to the combat. We're making like a roguelike section of the game so people can keep playing it and get power-ups and get new skins. That's being developed. We got to add more stuff to like the story in the block one. That's like the initial. You played the game, right?
I did, yeah. Like I can definitely see it's certainly a little rough around the edges, a little crude here and there, definitely. Honestly, what I would have loved, more mini games, like the idea of making food for the girls, interacting with them directly, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Well, good news for you. We got a cooking mini game coming that Galamine does, and she sings cute little songs while she makes it. We're gonna expand on the fort building. Now it's we can't do Arc. Like we're just like I always joke with everyone.
I'm like, $12 million.
I was like we're just 6 guys in a trench coat. Like we can't do Arc, right? we just can't make it happen, right? But we can do a really good story game.
Yeah, because I've seen the Steam forums too. Like everybody's like, "Is this gonna be Arc?" And it's like, again, Arc cost $12 million to produce, like 200 fucking people working on it, etc.
I can't do it. The same thing as the open world. It's really hard. Yeah, and so I thought our bet was a really good story with fun action, and and that'll people buy it. Well, and the kind of things I didn't account for was, I thought people would be happy with a fun story and they play the game. And I played our early access of our game. We had six hours of game time, right? Mm-hmm. And I was playing the game, and it was actually pretty stressful. So I've been paying for this game for 3 years. And I've spent around $2 million of my own money on the game. There's no other financiers. There's no one to report to. There's no publisher. There's just me and the team of like 6 guys, right? We have one girl. So 5 guys, 1 girl, or 1 woman, right? That's us, right? And we work on this for 3 years. And I could not do a lot of play testing because of just the state the game was in and how we were doing stuff. So a lot of it was the team being like, "Hey, we're doing this racing thing. It's really fun. Let's show you a video, this, that. Okay, that's awesome." So I really even couldn't play the game until 2 weeks before we came out early access. Right. And I played the game. I was like, "Oh, thank God, it's like fun," right? Because my butthole was clenched so fucking tight, like this entire time. I'm like, I spent most of my life savings on this game, right? Like I am betting big on this game. We've got a great team. It looks really good. We did motion capture for it. We done voice, like all the stuff we did. Like I think it's gonna do good. So we got the game and we played. I'm like, "Oh, it's fun. Oh, thank God." But we can improve the combat. And I play through, like, okay, we got to add quests to day 1 through 10. There's stuff we got to add. Okay, we kind of rushed through the fort building. There's no cookie mini game, but like it's fun. Like I played through it 3 times. Each time I spent 6 hours on it. I'm like, I have fun playing this game. It looks pretty. thank God, hallelujah. I think people are going to love it, right? And it came out and people did love it, but a lot of people were like, I am so mad. It's only this many hours. This is not good enough. And the whole team and I with the table, like, the problem is that we made such a good game. They don't think it's an adult game. They think it's an indie game. And if you're looking at adult games, we're like up here at adult games, right? Like we're like really nailing everything and got really great graphics. But if you look at an indie game, we're like not a really good indie game, right? And we kept getting compared to like the Risk of Rain guys, the Subnautica guys, like all like the it's a dwarven one. I was like we're not like, okay, you those aren't indie studios, right? They started as indie studios, but now they've got so many years behind them and they got millions of dollars. Like, dude, we're like I said, we're six people in a trench coat, man. Like we, but what I didn't understand was that the game industry has changed a lot since we started the project. And now to them, value is how much time can I spend on this game? It's less about like the actual game. It's like, I need to be able to spend 100 hours on this game. I need to be able to spend as much time as possible in this game. So I'm sitting here looking at these complaints and I'm like, okay, these are valid complaints. The people just want to play the game more, right? Like they get through the story on block one and they're done. And they're like, no, I want more. Like I want more. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, dude, like we're stuck in. And this one guy he's left negative reviews fucking everywhere. And he's in our Discord leaving negative reviews. And like the whole team was like, do not reply to this guy, Michael-Scott. Do not talk to this guy. Do not get mad at him. Just do not say anything. And I'm sitting like seething on my chair, and then I look on his account. He's got 30 hours in the game, bro. He's played the game for 30 hours. Like he's like, this is only a 3-hour game. Like I got robbed. And I'm like, dude, you played the 30 hours of the game, bro. Like you played through this game a bunch of times, right? And he's like, I just want to go outside the fort and kill more dinosaurs and explore. And I'm like, sitting, I had like the epiphany. I'm like, dude, like, let's just do a horde mode, right? Like we have combat, we got dinosaurs, we got the weapons. Like let's do a horde mode. So I go to the team. I'm like, can we do a horde mode? Can we just have like waves of dinosaurs come and however many waves you survive is like your score and stuff? And they're like, yeah, like they're like, you mean like Risk of Rain or like this? And I'm like, yeah, just like I fucking love that game, just like that. Like, can we do that? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. Let's do that. So like, we're gonna call it Endless Hunt. We've got it. We should have an alpha test in like at the end of this week, but it's gonna be really fucking cool. Obviously we're gonna have a lot of stuff we need to fix on it, like eventually, but like we think we can get it out. It's gonna we'll get it out in August. It's basically you leave the fort and you have these dinosaurs come at you. You kill a certain number of waves, and then you get a power up phase where you get to choose a power up from each girl, depending on one power up between the 4 girls, and each girl's like different things. Like Sheila's got weapon upgrades. Trell has traps and stuff that she can build. Galmine has healing stuff, and Caesarea has like augment stuff, like she can augment anyone else's things. And then we're gonna make skins so that the more waves you get through, you get a skin reward off that, right? And like we're just talking and looking. I'm like, dude, and like for me, this is fun because I love Risk of Rain 2. I love Shredder's Revenge, because I love Ninja Turtles, so I love playing that game, which is a roguelite. I love in some ways like Warhammer Darktide is like a roguelike, right? Because like you keep your stuff each time and you go through these levels, right? And they have 2 modes. They have like a survivor mode and they have the quest mode. Like those are the games. Vermintide I love. Like as I'm looking, I'm like, man, like most of the games I play are roguelike games, and I feel like an idiot for kind of missing this whole thing when we were developing the game to kind of put this mode in, because I was just like, oh, we just go through the story and have an adventure, and it's fun. That'll be it. Everyone will be happy with that, right? But now I'm like, no, like the industry has changed so much. You really need to give players like an unlimited amount of time to play on the game, right? So I think this will kind of scratch that itch with everyone, but I'm pretty excited about it. And like I said, we haven't really even begun to market. We have a ton of YouTubers that have reached out to us to ask to do stuff on the game and want to work with us. And we've just said, hey, can you just wait until we get this Endless Horde mode up? Wait until we make some improvements to Block 1. Wait until we have the cooking mini game up and the fort building mini game. Like, can you just give us a couple months and then we'll unleash the Kraken. You guys can do special on it. But even with none of that stuff, I mean, the game is made great money, and it's just nice for the game to pay for itself now versus me shitting out my asshole every month for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like dude, like I was, I'm an investor in a couple other businesses, and you are too, as we talked. But like, I have an HVAC company, like an air conditioning company that I own. And I started out with my brother-in-law, and I put the money in, and that next month money was coming in. And I have another business where we do Windows installation, right? I started with another friend of mine, and like, again, I put the money in, and with that next month, like money started coming in, right? But with the video game, it was like I put all this money in and nothing. You get nothing for it until the game can come out, right? So if my director had like died in a fire 3 months ago, that's it. The game is over. All that money I put in there was lost, right? Like maybe I could hire someone to finish it, but that would have cost way more money, taking more time, and all this stuff, right? So like, it's kind of a miracle that these games get made, especially with like an indie studio like me that's just like scrape money. And I say, $2 million to me is just a ton of money. Like it's most of my life savings I spent to make the game. But these other studios will spend, that's nothing for these other studios. They'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars to make these games, right? They have a complete redundancy on things. And, we were at the point where it's like, anyone on this team dies, we are absolutely fucked. Or if anyone gets sick, my technical artist, genius guy, he lives in Hungary. He was walking home, he got mugged and beat up. He was in the hospital for 3 weeks. Like that, like fucked us. 3 weeks. Dude was like coming home from a party late, and he got jumped and mugged and beat up, and he was in the hospital for 3 weeks. We're like, "Fuck, dude, that sucks." So are you okay? Whatever stuff. But I'm also like, dude, that just hurt us 3 weeks, right? Like some fucking assholes in Hungary just jumped my dude, right? Yeah, it was just really, it was really stressful, right, of doing this stuff. But thank God it's doing well. People seem to love it. We know we got things to work on, but the team is stoked, and we're just making tons of improvements that everyone's going to see in the next couple months. So.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get you. Myself and my friend Sargon, we've been working on our own settings for sci-fi and fantasy for years, only putting money in, not getting nothing out, etc. But you got to build something.
Yeah,
and like,
for sure.
You mentioned something I think was quite salient there, and that is that people didn't understand that it was an adult game. They came in expecting an indie game, and that's very much so the feeling I got as well whilst playing it. Because I was playing it, and then there's the first sex scene, which is kind of like a test sex scene with the Jessica or something, the girl from the pool party. Lacey.
Yeah,
thank
Lacey.
you.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking like, well, that feels a little bit out of place.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's funny because I didn't want that scene in there. I wanted them to wait till Galmine, but my director, who does adult games, he's like, you gotta have sex scenes sooner. And I fought. Like, nope, it's not the story. 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 And then finally, he was like on hands and knees. He's like, I am begging you, please let us put this in. Please, please, please. We need to have it, or they're just not gonna stay with us. We're gonna get tons of refunds. Like, we gotta put it in there. And I was like, oh, all right, let's put it in there, right? And when playing the game, I'm like, okay, you know what? It works. It works. It's not part of the story like the way I wrote the book, but like a lot of stuff in the game we've kind of had to like change a little bit just because the flow of the book is different than the flow of a game, right? So I was fine with it, and it does stick out a little bit, but I think people that want adult game, they kind of need to have more of those things in there. But my whole point was like I just want to try to make sure they earn it. And I don't know if we did a good enough job in the game. Our initial concept was it to make it way more dating sim. Like our initial concept was what's that? Dead by Daylight. Have you ever played that game?
A little bit, just time.
No, I'm sorry, not Dead by Daylight. Let me pull up the actual game. No, Dead Rising.
No, I haven't played that one, I think.
So Dead Rising, I think you're stuck in like a building or a mall, and you basically have like X number of hours to do all the things in the quest mode, and then get out of zombies are invading, right? So you've got to like get all these things done, and the game is really interesting because like you have that ticking clock the entire game, and you have to make choices A, B, or C, and the gameplay is very, very much different depending on what you choose to go through the game, right? And I love that idea for Tamer because I was like, okay, like we have technological improvements we can make, right? Like, okay, I have to go get water every day, right? So I gotta go get water every day, and then I gotta go harvest wood, and I gotta do this, right? So that takes time, and it was in the book, right? But if I go to the lake and get clay and then come back and make extra pots, now I do one trip and I get enough water for 3 days. Now I don't have to do it for 3 days. Now I can focus more on cutting wood. Oh, if I improve my axes, I cut wood faster, right? So I wanted the player to be able to make those decisions while they're in the game with that ticking clock. Because that to me that felt really compelling. People would feel more challenging, and then while you're doing that, you have these kind of little mini quests you've got to do for the girls to get to kind of win them over as a dating sim, right? And so we had this idea outlined and stuff, and then we're starting to make it, and like the team is like, we just do not have the budget to do this. We just cannot do this game. It's not beyond our capabilities, but like for the amount of money we have, the amount of progress it's going to take, like we can't do it. And I'm like, all right, what else do we do? And they're like, we kind of talked about like we could just kind of closer hold to the story and make it a little bit more on rails, which it's like, okay. but like you do these things, you get the girls, you have these quests, you do get the girls, right? So it is close to the story, a little bit more on rails, but at the time I was like, man, we just cannot do the flexibility that we wanted to do. And I went back to like, okay, tall tale games, everyone loves those games, and you don't really have a choice in those games either, right? You just follow the story, and like maybe
Fair
you
enough,
have
so.
the illusion of choice where I say this one thing here, I say this one thing there, but you kind of get to the same point at the end. You don't really have a choice in how the story plays out, right? So I was like, okay, Tall Tale did it, and everyone loves those games. I think we probably won't have that many complaints about our stuff. And if people complain like, oh, if it's on the book, it's going to be on rails, I can't make any decisions. But like, I'm kind of like, man, we just didn't have the money to do like this huge immersive, Baldur's Gate 3 style decision tree stuff where we could do all the changes and make it right. We're just, like I said, 6 people in a trench coat, so we just got to do it this way. This is all we can afford to do. But I think most of the people have been like, the story is really great. We love the girls. We want more story. This is great. And I'm going to get the books now. And I'm having a good time playing the game. Our number one complaint really has just been, I want more of the game.
Yep.
So that's a
More
good
stuff.
complaint to have.
Because I definitely think there's definitely some potential there for different priorities, basically. Because you tried to go in for it with like a 3DS game, which I think got a lot of people thinking there'd be different things.
Yeah.
So, like I said, mini games definitely think is a good idea because that'll make it feel like you're doing things for the girls directly. Because I definitely get you that it doesn't feel quite like you're earning it. It feels a little bit too like on railsy.
Yep,
Or alternatively, just going the full Telltale series, like Dispatch recently had amazing success with a purely story-focused experience as well.
Oh,
So
for sure. That's a
I
great
do
game.
think you have a little bit of like a messaging problem, whereas you say people go in and they expect more than you're trying to give them. And I mean, that's kind of a compliment in reality.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking at it in a positive light. I think another challenge we have really is they see dinosaurs, they see fort building, and they just think open
Arc.
world Arc. They just
Yeah.
think Arc, right? So
Yeah.
like it's really hard to like get them off of that.
Yeah.
But we knew that was going to be a problem going in. We
And
knew
hey,
like, okay, this is
in 10 years' time, when all of my settings are taking off and I'm earning millions of dollars as well, let's get together and we'll make Anime Arc, the two of us.
Yep, totally, I'm down.
But for now, like again, the amount of money, the team size, the people, like it's just not something a random guy's gonna do,
Yeah. But I feel really proud of what we put out so far and what's coming down the line, and everything we did with the actors with the motion capture. Like you might not realize this, but like all the women are one woman, Jessica 3. She acted all the girls. So she would do like a scene as Sheila and then cut, and then she would be Galmine, and like her body would change, like her way she talked would change, how she moved her hands would change, and then now you're Trell, and she would go and do that. Chris, the actor for Victor, he was pretty easy. He just did Victor the whole time, but Jessica had to do all these women nonstop every single day we spent a whole month filming all the motion capture for it. So full body suits, like a camera on their face, like it was great. It was great. She did an awesome job. So I think a lot of and we wanted to do that because it was funny. We were working on stuff and doing the motion capture when Baldur's Gate came out, Baldur's Gate 3, right? And like I saw that, I'm like, oh man. And I was also like, oh man, they actually aren't doing as good a job as we are, right? Because they have facial capture, but they didn't have body capture. So Baldur's Gate, they kind of stand there and the face looks good, but they don't really move. And meanwhile, Jessica's walking around as Trell, wiggling her fingers and stuff and shrugging at things and eye rolling. And, Sheila's like, calm and stuff. And Kassaria's doing wild hand motions and stuff. And I'm like, it just looks so freaking good for like the small team that we have doing this stuff.
Yeah.
It looks great. So
it does. Like I do, because all of this is like beginning, figuring out how to work things. You could levy critique at, okay, maybe you should have gone more story focused, etc. But that's what you're doing. You're figuring things out. Like you've never made a game before,
Yeah.
So I think you've got everything.
Some of the people on the team have, but like I hadn't, and like and now I'm learning stuff as I'm going through this, and now I feel better now that the game's out too. I'm more in the discussions with the team of like, hey, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it that way? Now that I'm getting customer feedback, like, hey, this customer says this. How come we didn't think about that? Oh, we didn't think about that because of all these technical issues. I'm like, oh, okay, like that makes sense, right? And definitely with the Endless Hunt, I am really involved in like the powers and how I want it to look and stuff. And because again, I didn't realize I really like these roguelike games, but I look at my like Steam library, I'm like, fuck, all these games I'm playing are roguelike, and I have really clear ideas about I want this power up and that power up and that this tied to this woman, right? So. I'm definitely way more involved now. Whereas, like I said earlier, I couldn't be involved because they didn't really have a thing for me to play. Because we were only finished like 2 weeks before early access. So,
yeah.
No, definitely. I think it's very, very cool.
And again, like, I do think that this is kind of like the beginning right now, because again, games of an adult nature on Steam, very negative reputation, just smut games.
Yeah.
This is so not that. This is a story experience, definitely, and a good story experience too.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to build on there, honestly. I think there's a lot of future
I hope
in
so.
this.
I hope so. I think, hopefully other publishers will look at like what I'm doing and like, okay, maybe we can take more of these adult novels and convert them into games, because there already is a good story, right? You can tell the story is good because the books sell. So hopefully they can go after that. But I think there's gonna be a lot of years. I think I'm gonna be the only person doing this for a long time. And the reason why is I just think this entire industry is just owned by these huge studios, and they've got, I don't want to get we could get a little political if you want to, but I just feel like there's definitely a woke agenda in all these studios, and they just do not want to make stuff that dudes want. And so
you're correct.
I think it's gonna I think we're like I look at this, I'm like, wow, this game is done really good with like no marketing. And what happens when we actually get the game in a good state and we do a bunch of marketing, right? And then what happens for the next game? Like, we've got really good ideas for Star Justice and Space Knight. What happens when we do those games, right? And like, that could be thing. And another reason I really want to get into video games is because it's creative, and it's for, I feel like my customers are people like me that like want fun stuff for dudes. But like when I came out with Tamer, all of my books pretty much within a few months, there is some writer somewhere comes out with a book that is very, very close to that concept, with cover art that looks very, very close to that cover art. And I'm like, because the barrier to entry is not that high, like, especially like, oh, wow, Michael-Scott made a bunch of money writing a book about dudes building forts with dinosaurs and babes. All right, cool. Let me
I can write a book about dinosaurs and fortresses
too.
totally.
And and now we've got AI, right? Now you just type that into AI and they spit out a book, and the book is gonna fucking suck. But now you throw up on the store with an AI cover, and some dude on Kindle Limited is gonna read that for free instead of read someone else's book that's actually put effort into it. So I saw that writing on the wall, and I'm like, man, like not many people have $2 million to like build a game, right? Not many people do, right? These big studios do, and maybe some successful authors do. But it wasn't just the money either. It was like I happened to find the right team, right? I found this guy that was director. He already had a team with him. They had a little bit of experience making it, right? So I was like, I got those connections, and we like face planted and walked into like a million rakes to get here, so it wasn't real. It was definitely a bumpy road, right? It was a miracle game. So like I look at it, I'm like, dude, like a lot of people followed me into books, like they wrote books to not really rip me off, I don't say that, but like inspired by my stuff, right? And it just creates more and more like mud in the market. But no, not that many people can actually follow me into this video game sphere, because like it just costs a lot of money, and you need a team, right? And the team has HR management, it's got like goals, it's got project management, it's got all this like business stuff around it. And a lot of people are like, well, it's really easy for me to just type a prompt into AI and then throw it up on Amazon, but this requires like a ton of work. So I feel really confident in moving this direction. Not that I'm ever going to stop writing. I really love writing books, but like I just saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, eventually someday AI will be able to replace my writing. Like some dude somewhere's gonna be like, put all my books in it and then say, write me the next Michael-Scott Earle book, and it'll come out with really similar prose, my kind of character development, my system, my formulas, and then boom, it'll read just like my stuff. And at that point, it's like there's no reason I won't be able to make any more money on books, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll be that able to do a video game like that for at least 20 years. So I got 20 years of making these games. Yeah, I got a little, maybe it'll be quicker than that. I don't know how fast AI is working. I'm pretty I'm pretty like against AI, obviously, but like I feel like it's a little bit safer bet to go into video games now, and I'm pretty happy with how things gone so far, and yeah.
That's a very interesting direction.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, so since you said you had 2 hours, I want to do some super chats because I'm sure there's some questions
Cool,
for
awesome.
you there.
I can go longer if you want me to. That's fine.
Oh, even better.
I got
you better not say that unless you mean it, because I'll keep you here for
all right, let's do it. I like talking to you. We haven't talked a lot about you, though. You were talking about some of your businesses you're in.
Yeah, but I'm boring. I'm here every week. I'm literally here all the time.
Yeah.
But what I definitely want to delve a little bit into, not to get too political, because otherwise you might get heat for that. But
yeah,
you mentioned like when it comes to like the idea behind it, because we've now had a very long period of time of de facto feminization of media. Where like from the 80s actions movies are just dead now. Like our greatest action stars now look like there'd be twinks in the 80s.
Yeah.
And in media as well, across the board, in books too. And again, that's why I got into male romance to begin with, because I was like, okay, Trailer Park Elves, that's a crazy title. Yeah. I'm going to read it. I'm probably going to laugh my ass off. It's just going to be smut. Then I read it. It's like, holy shit, this isn't smut. This is romance. Then I was forced by chat to read female romance, and there were 300 mentions of cock in a 100-page book.
Yeah.
And it's literally just throbbing dicks page after page after page.
Yeah, very, very high. It's actually funny as I say, probably 85% of the entire book industry is just female romance, and it's just that kind of stuff, right? But authors like me in this genre, we tend to get shit on by most of the media because we're writing either it's your simp stuff, or you're writing what's the term, the slang for guys that don't have sex with women. Incel, yeah, you're writing incel porn or incel stuff like that. And I'm like, no, man, I love women. And I'm like, I'm married. I have 2 girls. I've been married for 20 years. I'm just a dude, and I like hot women. I love women. I hang out with women all the time. I like talking to them. I just have a very I like high value women and romancing them and like earning their trust, right? I gotta watch my hand I was fiddling with, but like that's what I just think that's a cool part of romance,
Yeah.
And like my wife, like when I met her, I'm like, man, this woman is so smart and beautiful and just like classy and interesting. And I'm like, I better I totally want to woo her, and I better be a badass dude, or she's not going to give me the time of the day, So, and it worked out, fortunately, but
There's the interesting thing as well, because I absolutely agree. Like, male entertainment in general has been heavily stigmatized the last 20 years, despite there isn't really anything there to stigmatize. And it is literally because it's male-centric. Yeah. Because Tamer, King of Dinosaurs it's a very specific male power fantasy, and that obviously the guy's capable. You kill dinosaurs, you fight stuff and stuff like that. But the core of that book is power via taking care of others. It's caring. It's protecting the women. And that's not really something you see in female power fantasies. That is very, very much so a male-specific thing, and it's a wholesome thing. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. So I might I don't know if I would disagree with you, but I would say okay, so if you read a lot of the women romance novels, the guy, the head alpha dude, he is the best of the best. He's this dark entity. He is that provider, the strongest guy. He is that thing. It's almost like it's like the same coin but different sides, right?
Because
women kind of want to be dominated and romanced by that strong badass dude, right? They might not say they want it, but you read the books and it's obvious, right? And men want to be those strong alpha dude that gets the women, right? So I don't think I think they're more similar than women would want to admit,
I think it's the difference in focus, because here it's becoming the badass dude. It's building up to it. Whereas in the female romance, it just kind of appears. Like
Yeah.
the cow in Milking Farm, the Minotaur.
Yeah.
He
Oh yeah.
he's the best at what he does. You never told what I don't even think they mention what he does. He's just really rich, really handsome, incredibly
Yeah, yeah.
muscular, etc., and the best at everything.
And he's not into her at first.
Yes.
You know, she's got to. So a thought I always think about, and I do in my books, and I've talked to other authors that write in this genre, is like it all just goes back to William Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. And that's for men, it's Taming of the Shrew, but for women, it's Beauty and the Beast, which is also Taming of the Shrew. They're the exact same stories, right? But you basically have this very high quality person of the opposite sex that doesn't like you, and you win them over through your deeds. You know, that's kind of it's the same story, right? You know, and there's an aspect of taming them, right? Trell does not like Victor, but he tames her. She falls in love with him because he does all this awesome shit that she's not expecting, right? In Beauty and the Beast, right? Belle tames the Beast because she teaches him to read. She's nice to him, right? She understands him. She does stuff, and so she tames him. In all these billionaire werewolf alpha fantasies, there's always some aspect of that. Well, the dude doesn't like the protagonist, but she does something. She tames him with her magic vagina, or she woos him, or she does something cool, teaches him how to read. Right? I actually joke about that. I say, oh, well, she just teaches him how to read, and then she wins his heart, right? You know, but it's just all formulaic. And once you see the formula, like in the Matrix, it's like, oh, this is the story setup, right? And you can actually read all these women romance books, and you can see like, oh, it's all Beauty and the Beast. There's Gaston character. Oh, there's a female Gaston character. There's this, there's that. You could just really lay out the actual beats of the story, and you can see exactly how it's going to end. And because I've read a bunch of them, and as soon as I read, like the third or fourth one, I was like, oh, I know exactly what it is. And probably my favorite author out there is L.J. Shen. Probably because she writes like exactly how I do. Like I was reading this woman, and I'm like, she writes her sentences and does her prose or conversation exactly how I would write it, right? But her books, I read like 8 of her books. I'm like, this is exactly the same story, beat for beat. She's just changing like the setting a little bit. And I'm like, she's like the best-selling romance author, right? I don't know how much money she's made, but if she is worth $100 million, I would not be surprised, right? Yeah. And it's like the exact same book, every single book, and but I love it though. I'm like, this is hilarious. It's good, right?
It's like originality kind of needs to be the spice rather than the core of a thing, because by and large, when we've made up a thing, like it's good. Things are cliche for a reason because they're good. The classic romance story is good because it's a classic romance story. And I mean, we can go back to ancient times where you see this. Like we've got the entire Siege of Troy, for example, which is basically this entire massive competition of high-quality males over Helen, and then that drags in all of these other heroic characters.
Yep.
And it has been unfairly lambasted a lot, and I'm hoping we can begin to change that. Like, I mean, that's what you do. You say that it'll take years. I mean, I've been doing the political side of this thing for over 10 years now, because you've got to change culture. You've got to change people's perception, and that takes forever, but you got to do it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna swing back the other way for sure. We actually might be going that direction now. I think a lot more people are like okay with men's stuff, and we're starting to like not give a shit, right? Like I think that's just the thing is men are just like, I don't really care if you think I'm racist. I don't really care if you think I'm a womanizer. I don't really care. Like I don't care. I think a lot of men are starting to do that, and that's really the tipping point that's gonna start.
And you know, we don't care about the accusations, like, because we don't want to be racist. We just don't care about them making the accusation because we know it doesn't come from a serious position. It's a weapon being used against us.
If you keep crying wolf for every fucking noise in the dark, right, then you just, okay, I just don't care anymore, right?
Like at some point, the accusation of misogynist loses all of its power.
Oh yeah, totally. I cannot tell you how many times I've been called that by every woman and a bunch of dudes under the sun because of the books I write. And it's like, you haven't even read my books, right? Like, you know,
it's
funny because my wife is like
about them either.
Yeah, my wife is like, your books are amazing. Like they treat women with a ton of respect. Like they're great. Like there's no way anyone can read your books and think you're like that. But I'm like, it's just what you're called. But we get like really, I think like the John Wick movies, badass dude doing badass stuff. You got every Jason Statham movie is like those classic 90 movies. But dude, look at how much money those franchises are making, bro.
Yep.
Like there's Jason Statham just is like a badass dude kicking ass, right? Not apologizing and banging the chick. And like, dude, he's like paid more money than Jesus, right? He's just wildly successful. And you can't say he's a good actor, right? He's the same character in every movie, you know? He just found his formula. And dude, and I watch every single Jason Statham movie. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'll watch it. And then I'll rewatch them, you know? And it's just, they're great. Like, that's what I want, right? I want those kind of stories. A badass dude taking care of business and having sex with a woman, right?
Yeah. We've been starved for that now. And we've had too much of the strong female character, and I do believe we're seeing the evidence that that's too much now. Like the recent Supergirl bomb, for example, which, I mean, that the movie was written by an amateur who had like one project to her name, picked out of nowhere for some reason.
She's obviously like blowjobbing Gunn, or she's sleeping with him or something, right? They're obviously having sex, right? Because there's no way she should have been given that project, right?
No, there's no
In my
way.
opinion, I don't have any proof of that, but like, you know.
No, I genuinely
don't sue me, James Gunn. But like, yeah, there's no other reason why.
I think she was selected because, one, female, and two, she had some artsy-partsy thing that he was like, oh, you're a woman and artsy-partsy. Well, let's bring you aboard. Here, have this comic book. It makes no sense, but make a movie out of it, please.
I feel like James Gunn is kind of getting to where I was after I came out with Destroyer. Like, I got too big for my britches. I thought it was me and not my job, right? I thought I will just write these books. It doesn't matter what they're about. I'll write these books and readers will read them and love them because it's me, you know? And then I got smacked upside the face. And like, I looked at, like, I had 30 books out and the only books making money were Destroyer. And I was like, what the fuck have I done? You know, like, I messed up so much. Like, how did I get away from this? And then I had the epiphany, realized, like, oh, people, they just, it's entertainment. They just want to have fun, dude. Like, why am I, you know? And I think James Gunn is kind of like, well, I'm James Gunn. I can James Gunn really good. And look, I saw the Superman movie, and I didn't think it was bad, but I really didn't think it was great. I was just like, it was okay, you know. But I'm glad I didn't see it in the theater. I just streamed it. You know, I think the Supergirl movie is, you know, I might see it on streaming just to have a feedback on it, but I also think that like a lot of stuff we say is woke, like is maybe not that woke. Like, okay, like there's this movie on Netflix called White Noise, and I encourage you to watch it because it is a satire, a very heated satire against liberalism.
Ooh.
But it's so not obvious, right? Because I have a bunch of friends of mine that watched that movie and they were like, I fucking hate this movie. This is a terrible movie, right? I hate it so much, right? But I was like, because the protagonist is just dumb, he does all this stupid shit, he's like such an idiot. I'm like, that's the point. The point is the protagonist is Adam Driver. The hero, he is a liberal man. And he has no skills. He has no manly skills or manly function. And you look at his life and these series of disasters happen to him, and he's ill-equipped to handle anything in his life. It is a mockery of our current state of affairs. And it was done by the team behind Barbie, right? And when I watch Barbie, a lot of people say, oh, this is like a liberal woke thing. And I'm like, watch Barbie. I'm like, is it though? Or is it really thickly veiled satire? Because I watched Barbie and I was laughing. I was like, this is obviously making fun of feminism to me.
Yes.
Right. I thought this is totally making fun of feminism. Right. So I watched White Noise. I'm like, this is so making fun of woke liberal teaching men. Right. Because the guy's like a professor of Hitler studies at this chic university, and he does nothing else. He can't do anything else. And his wife doesn't respect him. His kids don't respect him. None of the people in his community respect him outside of like, oh, this is the expert on Hitler, right? And these series of unfortunate events happen in their town, and he just cannot handle any of it, you know? And I've just watched the movie. And like, if you watch it like that, like this guy is like, he's the joke. It's such an enjoyable movie, right? But I know a lot of people that watch it are like, oh, this is just more woke propaganda. And I'm like, it's not. Like, it's you kind of miss the point, right? But it is so fun. So I think movies like that are being made right now, and so I think hopefully this is kind of like an indication that we're changing directions. So yeah, I recommend if you haven't seen that movie, White Noise, and it's based off a book, And I know that the guy that wrote the book was like a blue collar sales guy too, right? So and he's been very outspoken against kind of these kind of political beliefs when he was writing. But anyway, so I think it's a really good movie to watch. If I can make a movie recommendation to you and your viewers, your fans.
I shall check it out because there is obviously a danger as the tides turn, and they definitely are, that we ourselves will become too much like the left wing and we'll scream woke at everything like they scream not at everything. Yeah. And we do need to remember that, we did this to get quality entertainment back.
Yeah.
And like my personal crusade is for X-Men 97, which I think is great and a fantastic follow-up to the old X-Men cartoon. But most people on my side of the spectrum just wrote that off immediately because they assumed it's X-Men in the modern age, it's gonna suck. And I get the defensiveness because everything else has fucking sucked.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love the original cartoons. I'm super happy it's going out. It seems like it's got great direction, and they have more coming out soon, right?
Yeah, the second season's airing right now. I'm saving it because I want to binge it.
Yeah. I think part of the problem is how there's just so much of it, and that's really kind of just given us the sour taste of it. Because I'm watching this. We're watching Stranger Things, like the last season. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but like my wife ran last episode, and like have you seen it yet?
No, I think I watched the first 2 seasons and I got sick of it.
I thought we really enjoyed it. I dug it, but then the last season, like one of the main characters is like gay, and there's a lesbian girl in it and stuff. And I'm like, I don't have any problem with this in the story. I mean, it's a little bit, and I realized it was the 80s. People weren't really coming out of the closet then. But I'm like, well, okay, you've got this group of people, and 2 people are gay. Like, it was probably mathematically unlikely, right? But I don't have a problem with it. But like the problem is people have a problem with it because every single Netflix show has a gay person in it, right? Or a lesbian. Like it's just over and over. It's like they're out there, and I think they should have rights, but they're 3% of the population, right? So like we don't need to have like, if a cast of 8 people, we have 4 of them that are gay, it just seems like really unlikely. And whatever. I don't want to be one of those people that are like, oh, my like immersion, you're shattering my immersion because the math isn't mathing. But like, like I don't think it's serving their agenda very well to just oversaturate it with us. Like they could put it in there in a fine amount and we would be cool with it. But just if you're gonna just pour it on us like ranch dressing, like no,
they're doing themselves no favors because like the first Superman movie or the first James Gunn Superman movie, I actually quite liked the direction he was taking Superman in. He's more hopeful, he's more optimistic, like being kind is the real punk rock, etc. I dig that. That's Superman. But people are so hostile towards things because they are very, very woke. And there were many problems with that movie. The pacing, the setting, the villains, etc., etc. And it makes us eager to condemn things. And to some extent, that's a good thing because we do need to teach the studios a lesson. Like, no, if we smell wokeism on this, we are going to bite you. But we still need to be a little bit more like, because we can't arrive at the point where like, oh, there's a black person in it, it's woke. No, not necessarily. Now, if there's a black person in, 1800 BC Greece, I'm going to start asking questions.
Yeah. I don't, and I understand they're going to have some diversity. Like almost every show on Netflix has, the representation, right? And that, okay, I'm okay with that. But like, I don't get like too out there, but I'm like, I think about like, a lot of Europe country and a lot of America was made by a specific race and culture, right? And you can, I believe Jesus was a dude, but I'm not Christian because I don't know if he died for God, right? But I can look at like the things Jesus said, and I look at the things that have been done in Jesus' name and the cultures and society has been built for Jesus. And I can think like, these have turned out pretty good. Like this has ended pretty good across Europe and across the United States. Where I look at other countries that, maybe don't have that religion or that kind of understanding that Jesus talked about. And I'm like, well, this place hasn't turned out that good. And there's not a really good culture there. Right. So to kind of, you know, and again, I'm not Christian, so I feel like I could be critical of it or not. But I was like, but to be critical of this thing is kind of ignoring all the history around how these cultures have evolved and how these civilizations have evolved. You know, I mean, look, like Aztecs were freaking sacrificing children, dude. Like they were like, and a lot of cultures in, you know, the Middle East and in Europe were sacrificing kids and killing people and doing horrific things, right? Until people that believed in Jesus came there and said, no, you can't fucking do that anymore, right? You know, and so like to be like, oh, these people of this race and this belief system are bad people, like you just ignoring a ton of history, you know, of established, and I just don't think it's fair, and I wonder what the agenda is, you know, like why do they want us to just kind of like spit in the faces of our fathers and our grandfathers and the people that kind of came up with this culture, right? And look, we can look at like Puritans, and those guys were like a little too wacky, right? Like they got kicked out of England because like, dude, those guys were just too hardcore. But like, you know, again, a lot of stuff I look at, I'm like, you've got these cultures and civilizations that like got there through got in a really good place from Christianity as opposed to the rest of the world, and it's like, you want to go against that? Like, really? Like, what's the end game? Like, do you just want it all to crumble? You know, so I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, there's absolutely a lot about that, because there's different cultures have produced different results, and those results are quite obvious to see now. And our culture is definitely one of the best ones. There's no doubt about it. And we can also see what happens when that culture starts disappearing. You've always got stuff like the Aztecs, which is hilarious because they were insane. But you've also got examples of how much of our culture is actually political and needs constant reinforcements as well. There is a fantastic book, which I'm blanking on the name right now. It's about Weimar Germany and the absolute insane degrees of degeneracy and moral collapse that happened in society, that when it began rejecting its own cultural values and anything and everything goes, and hyping up downgrading our own culture and hyping up progressivism, as it was very much so the idea of undermining and destroying our own society. And it led to the most absurd excesses you can ever imagine, like gross stuff that is beyond the most twisted fetish fantasy. And you begin realizing that all of this is something that we have built and maintained very, very actively. And we are currently in a period where people have been attempting to destroy this very clearly and very deliberately, chipping away at it. And we see it in entertainment, we see it in culture, we see it in attacks on religions. And we all, like, once upon a time, you might have approached this with an open mind. Like, oh, you're just critiquing Christianity. Sure, we're an open religion, we will accept that. But they never then critiqued anybody else. Nobody else got the same treatment. Nobody else got the same stick. And so it has to do more with the destruction of our values rather than merely the honest critique of them.
For a while there on Instagram, I was reading the Quran, and I would just kind of post pictures of passages
it's
from
wild.
the Quran. And I had people messaging me like, do not do this. Do not do this. They will kill you. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, you have an audience, right? Do not post pictures of the Quran. Like, you do not understand what these Muslims will do to you. Like, just stop. Please stop. And I was like, but people back on Christianity all the time. It's like, but they're right. Like, they don't accept that stuff. What's that? There's the god in Warhammer, Sandalish, the Chaos God. Is that how you pronounce the
there's
name?
4 of them. Slanesh is the god of depravity. Tzeentch is the god of change. Nurgle is of pestilence, and Khorne is of blood.
Yeah, I remember that. So there's, I remember seeing all the storyline. There's a huge, massive storyline stuff, and I read some of the books and stuff, and I played the games. But I know there's with the Elven worlds where they got so into depravity and stuff, and they all got like corrupted by.
Gave birth to Slanesh, the god of excess.
Yeah, Slanesh. Yeah, and that it's interesting because I feel like you've got that on one side, and then you've got like the human empire on the other side, right? That's so strict, and like basically everyone's doing heresy, right? And you just get these opposite sides of the coin, and I feel like we're just kind of been over here so long that we're gonna swing back to like this, right? And maybe that's not a better solution either, you know? Like I don't have a problem with gay rights, and I don't have
Are
a
you
problem
ready
with
to
like
rut this
people
yellow
being like
mare's
their own unique individuals, but like
butt?
I don't want it forced down my throat, and I don't want to have to deal with this shit. I just kind of want everyone to mind their own fucking business,
Well,
as long
that's
as
also
there's
what
no
we got to
crime.
realize.
Yeah, I just don't want any crime. I want people to feel safe. I want people to be able to have a job opportunity. I want people to be able to have an opportunity to go to school. Like, I just want people to be able to better themselves. And for whatever reason, like, that's just not happening in any of our cultures right now.
No, because we have to understand, our culture, our generation's culture was always quite liberal when it came to this stuff. It literally
sure.
was the idea of let and live, let and live. If you want to bang another guy up the ass, okay, do it at home. I don't care. But that was then weaponized by progressive ideology, who said, okay, we've got an in here. We've got a victimized group. We can use their victimization as currency to push for more and more stuff. As most gay people aren't on board with what they're doing now. As they've been trying for years now to smuggle all kinds of things into Pride. Like, they managed to smuggle in transgenderism. They managed to smuggle in the modern-day Pride flag, which has black and brown stripes for indigenous people. They've been trying to smuggle in zoophilia, pedophilia, all kinds of shit. And it's very obvious this is no longer anything to do with gay pride. This is obviously just a political tool of progressivism to further ruin our society.
And what's silly about this, I remember, back early 2000s when gays, the gays were trying to get more rights, right? And I remember being like, yeah, like, why can't they get married? Like, why can't they adopt people? Like, and then, but I remember people being like, if we give them this, it'll get worse, and it'll get worse, and it'll get worse, and it'll get worse. Just watch. And I was like, nope, you're wrong. You're wrong.
No,
it won't get worse, right? And now I look here, I'm like, they were right, man. Like, it got worse.
I remember the pie chart. Which was like, okay, if you allow gays to marriage, what will happen? And there's like a global plague. Well, fuck. They'll start abusing children. Well, and everything happened. And I'm
And I did not believe. I was like, you guys are crazy. No, you can't like give them their rights. Like, let them marry. Come on, man. They're not bugging anyone. And then it was just like the boiling frog, right?
Yep,
that's the term. And now we're at. I'm like, we get to claw some of these rights back. Like,
yes.
I just think it's funny. I'm like trans people just screaming like, "Oh, we're trans people are under attack." I'm like, no one's attacking you. Like, what? We just don't want dudes competing in women's sports, man, and we don't want dudes going to women's bathroom. Well, I'm not a dude. I'm a woman. No, you're a dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, you're a dude. You're a dude with a mental illness. Sorry. Like, just.
And ironically, because now we're actually looking at a lot of the concessions we made, and because back then the assumption was very simple. Well, if you're gay or trans or whatever, you're just a person. Who the fuck cares? Go do whatever you want to do. And now we're actually looking more into it, and we're seeing things, especially amongst trans people, that a lot of them seem to be doing this as a fetish. There are a small percentage of people who genuinely have gender dysphoria,
Sure. Awesome.
and we need to treat them. But they aren't like we've seen like 100-fold increases of gender dysphoria in countries. Like, that's not right.
Yeah. It was such a rare occurrence until this movement happened, and it was there. It was happened, and for sure those people should have rights and should get treated and should be taken care of. But then when you've got a dude that's like, I want to be a woman so I can go inside a woman's restroom.
Yeah.
Right. That's just sick.
Yes.
And how do you? And if anything, it's detracting from the people that really do have that issue. So that side, those people, they should be way more careful about how you cry wolf, And I can't imagine like a reasonable gay or lesbian person right now can look at this movie and be like, yeah, that's what I wanted. They've got to be like, ooh, I don't like this. This is going too far down the path. I don't want to be lumped in with those people. And I've heard that from several people that I know that are gay. They're just like, this has gone a little too far, and I don't want to align myself with this movement. I just want to get married. That's it. I just want to be able to get married. Right. And now here we are with this stuff, and it's not what I wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Like the entire introduction of fetish to pride was one of the big moments where a lot of this happened, where if you look at the original Pride marches back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you see people in suits out with signs going like, I just want the same rights as everybody else. Yeah. Now, a Pride parade has people in fucking dog costumes. Just this last month, there was an interview on Norwegian television where they were standing in front of a middle-aged man in full leather costume, and you could tell that the reporter was like, okay, this is clearly not socially acceptable, but I'm gonna have to just swallow it because of political reasons.
And they're not doing themselves any favors. You know?
No, it looked ridiculous.
Yeah, people are just getting more and more sick of it. You know, you know, and like everything's changed. Like if now I am not afraid of anyone calling me any name about this, right? If anyone says, "Oh, you're a hater," or you're this, or transphobic, or whatever, I'm just like, yeah, I don't care. And I would have cared 10 years ago. I would have been like, "Oh, no." But now I'm like, nah, I don't really care because it doesn't bug me. And like, if you're gonna think that about me, it doesn't matter. It's been too much, you know. And I feel bad for those people that like do need those rights and should have those rights, but the whole cause got pirated, and it's being overrun by people that are just degenerates.
It's genuinely too bad for them because there are now a lot of people who do want to look at the idea of the gay rights themselves and start picking them apart and going like, okay, which part of these were actually sensible and which of them weren't? And I get that they're scared about that too.
Yeah, it's just gonna swing back the other way ultra hard, right? This is how we get those kind of, you know, movements like the, you know, again, I wasn't around for the Nazi stuff, but like and I haven't read all the documents around it, but like that movement to go in that direction of like authoritative culture control is because you guys have been too deviant. And there are a lot of people that say that Hitler that Germany was so sick of deviant culture in their civilization that's why they overtook everything and went extreme the other way. You know, and I'm just like, I'm worried like, okay, we're going to get something like that because people are just so fucking sick and fed up about it.
Oh, yeah. Again,
you know, like
Hitler was a reaction to Weimar Germany, which Chan actually reminded me of the name of the book. It's Voluptuous Panic. It's free on archive.org. And like, it contains shit that you wouldn't believe. Okay. Like there's a part in there where they explain a common and festive tradition at the time was to, you bought a live duck, then you would have sex with the duck.
Oh God!
You would come inside of the duck as you slit its throat, and then you would eat the duck. And by doing this, you could experience cannibalism. You'd be eating your own chum, necrophilia by fucking the dead goose, and gastrophilia by eating a fat goose. And like this, it's the kind of shit that you couldn't think of yourself.
This looks like a picture book, or is this maybe the wrong one?
It is a picture book. It's got loads of illustrations inside of it.
Okay. And it's critical of I think it's only $30 on Amazon. I'll add it.
And it's there. It describes even an entire political institute in there, which was the Progressive Sexual Institute. When you see pictures of the Nazis burning books, they were burning books from that institute.
Yeah, boy.
And so you can obviously look at it and go like, yeah, Hitler did some bad shit. Obviously. But he was very much so a reaction. He didn't just emerge, and he didn't have zero grievances. He could point at real things in German society and go, that is sick. And people were like, yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's all right. Well, I order the book, so I'll give it a read. But it's funny, like time. Also, I mean, as I get older and I have, you know, I've got kids and the kids are growing up and stuff, and I've got a family and things, I just get like, you know, they always joke you get more conservative, and I'm just like, you know, from raising my kids, I'm like, I love them, but they're just little idiots that I've got to like protect, you know, up until a certain time, right? But even then, like, they're women and like they need to be protected, right? Like they don't have the physical strength that we do, you know, so.
And current society isn't doing that. Like
totally. I mean, absolutely not. Absolutely. I mean, it's worse in Europe, you know, with you guys. Like just the whole the Muslim invasion is just horrific. All the stuff we see there is awful. Like we don't have it that bad in the States, but it'll get there. Like I kind of darkly joke with my wife. It's like Europe's like 10 years ahead of us with all this shit.
Yeah, no, we are. Like Sweden has the second highest rape statistic in the world, the most feminist country on the planet.
Yep. Yeah, it's what's it called? Like suicidal empathy? Is that what they're calling it in the media?
Suicidal empathy.
It's tragic, right? And Sweden used to be like one of the safest countries in Europe, filled with beautiful people. Yeah. And not,
now it has gang wars. There was a fantastic article a while ago where Iraq lodged a complaint against Sweden that too many terrorists were coming from Sweden to Iraq.
Oh my God.
because they've been moving to Sweden and establishing criminal networks there, and then they tried to expand back home, and then fucking Iraq of all countries, like, listen, Sweden, you're destabilizing our country.
How the tables have turned, huh? And how are they going to get them out? Because now you got people that are in that culture that are born there.
Oh yeah,
you know. And how are you gonna like they're gonna need another Hitler, you know? Like they're just gonna need a guy in there that's like, I don't care, kill everyone, and most of the citizens are gonna agree with him. And
they're going to have to, like, the idea of citizenship, for example, irreversible, irrevocable, is going to have to go. We're going to have to reintroduce straight up deportations and exile, in essence.
Yep.
And it's the only way it's going to happen, because
I mean, deportations at the minimum, and if they don't deport, then execute them. And what does that sound like?
Yeah, no, it's an extreme.
Where have we seen that before in history?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like all this stuff moves like a pendulum, man. It just keeps swinging back and forth. You know, so like it's for sure. And I thought we were gonna get some of that with Trump. You know, in the States, I thought he was going to be harder on criminals. He was going to be harder on, he's harder on immigration. But now he's just Israel's bitch. So.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've been debating this with my buddy Sargon over my other podcast a few times now, and we'll see if Trump turns out to have been a mistake, because he was an excellent, like, moment of release and relief for a lot of people. It's like, oh god, finally a conservative, this will halt the flow. But he might have been a placebo, a person who comes along, makes you feel good for a while, but he doesn't have either the drive or the political capital to really do what must be done. And so he's kind of just like delayed America's progress by 10 years. Whereas over in Europe, I mean, we are getting on the air, like AFD is growing larger and larger, Reform and Restore is growing larger, Le Pen, Italy already has a right-wing government. We're taking over the European Union. The European Union has now voted to allow detention centers for mass deportations.
Yep. That's good. You guys are starting to get that, right? So hopefully it changes. You know, I mean, like, I feel the same with Trump. Like, I voted for him. I thought he was a better answer than Kamala. Because again, I think the main, and you know, and the main issue I had with Kamala was, like, Biden obviously had Alzheimer's, and he made a bunch of bad policy choices. But who was really in charge, right? It wasn't him. So who was doing the thing in the back there? I don't know, right? But I think if Kamala had come out and just said, like, hey, this is what's going on with the president, I'm not part of this, I want to be president, here's, like, if she pulled the curtain back and showed everyone, she might have won. She might have won if she just admitted, this is what's going on and I want to get away with that and I want to be president. She might have won. But Trump was saying the right things to, I think, most middle class people. It's like, you know, I want to get rid of the immigration, I want to go America first, I want to make America great again. And, like, you know, I think people, I was for sure sold on it. And for the first couple months, it seemed like, okay, we're getting what we want, right? And then he was going to release the Epstein files, and I was like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, all right, here we go. Epstein files are coming out. This is great. And then he gets visited by Israel, and a day later, he's like, what Epstein files? What? There's no Epstein files. What are you guys talking about?
People still talking about the Epstein files. It's a Democrat conspiracy theory. Like,
yeah.
what?
Oh, dude, like that. I was like, okay, this guy, I don't know if they threatened him or if they gave him a ton of money or what happened, but like that was it. I was like, nope, that's it. That's not my guy, right? He's and dude, and I was pretty middle of the road on Israel. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. There are allies in the Middle East, whatever. And as soon as that happened, I was like, what the fuck? And now I'm looking at Israel. I'm like, wow, this is not good for the world, right? We should not be giving this much money. We should not be supporting them. We should not be at war with Iran. All this stuff, and it all came from that one instance where they prevented him from releasing the Epstein files, right? Like that could be not worse PR for them, right? And I think a ton of people like me had that same evolution where they're like, Israel, like, who fucking cares, man? Like, whatever. There are allies, right? We like Israel. And then that happened. They're like, what is up with Israel? How did they stop? And then the files that did came out from Epstein, it's obvious he is a Mossad agent. He's getting blackmail for Israel and all of our politicians, right? We've got moles and spies everywhere. Like, it's just super obvious now. And now it's like, okay, and now it's like, fuck Israel, right? Like, that we should not be giving them any money, right? You know, and anytime I make a post about like, hey, we shouldn't be giving Israel any money and we shouldn't be going to war for Iran with Israel, I have a bunch of my Jewish friends message me and they're like, hey, you're sounding anti-Semitic. I'm like, no, dude, like, I just don't want to give this other country a bunch of money, and I don't want to send our troops over there to defend this country. I just want like us to be focused on America, and we've got a lot of problems here. Like, we don't need to be spending $500 million sending missiles to Iran. Like, like, this doesn't make sense to me. And they're like, well, you got to be careful because you're sounding pretty anti-Semitic. And I'm like, nah.
It's all like the anti-Semitism accusations. Like, no. Israel's a sovereign nation, and I get that it wants what's best for it. Sure, fine, go ahead.
Sure.
But I want my nation to do what's best for it too.
Totally.
It's that simple.
And I don't think we should have free college or whatever, or free healthcare. Like, I don't think we should have that. But it's hard to say we can't afford free healthcare and free college when we're spending $13 billion a year on Israel. Like that, I would rather free college, I would rather free healthcare than that money going there. Like, they have free college, they have free healthcare because of the money we give them. That's fucking bullshit. Like, I that's not fair.
No, the West needs to put itself first and start forgetting about all of its supposed historical crimes. Just fuck it, take care of ourselves. Stop giving money to everybody else. And the worst part is, like, after USAID stopped, we have now seen an actual increase in food production in Africa, because now the aid that is coming is NGOs, which means actually arrives, that of government that just disappeared or was used on corruption schemes. And the people who are there is like finally thinking like, okay, well, we're not going to be given food like a dependent every month. We're actually going to have to start growing something. It turns out that necessity is, in fact, the mother of all invention. And we can see it. We've been giving money to Africa for 50, 60 years. Nothing's fucking changed. Trillions of dollars. We don't even know how much money. Nothing's been achieved. Man. We're going to have to try something else.
The Mr. Beast water pumps changed my perspective on that, too, right? Like, I was like, whatever, Africa needs help. Like, dude, so uneducated I was. Africa needs help. We should be helping Africa. And then I read the article that Mr. Beast is spending all this money on water pumps for these villages. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Mr. Beast, great dude, right? And then a year later, none of them work. Yeah. They didn't do any repairs. And the men were totally fine with their women walking the river again. And I'm like, it all fell apart. You guys did no maintenance. Like, what the heck? Like, and then I got it, right? I was like, oh, okay, this is how it's been forever, right? We keep trying to help them, and this happens. And then I saw stuff on how their culture thinks, right? They don't think about tomorrow. Yeah. They don't think about maintenance. They don't think that's the way their culture is. And I'm like, again, I went back to man, this whole thing with Christianity and Jesus and cultures that evolve from that. This thing. And I have a really good friend of mine, my business partner in my Windows business. He's atheist. And he's like, we'll talk about it. I'm like, dude, the only reason you can argue about this is because we live in this culture where Jesus was okay with this, right? Like, again, I'm agnostic. I do go to church, but I don't know if he's the son of God, and I haven't been baptized or anything like that. I just think he was a good dude saying good things. But you can't sit here and tell me you think all religion is bullshit and it's all bad and stuff, when if you were in an Islamic country, you would just get murdered for saying that, right? You can't, the only reason you're allowed to complain and argue and have these beliefs of freedom is because our Constitution gave us rights under God. That was the first thing. We have these rights under God, right? And the God we have is a God given to us by Jesus, right? He defined how that is, right? So, and again, I don't know if it's true or not, but this one dude was like, this is how it is with God, your relationship. So and we base a whole religion around that, and that religion seemed to be working out pretty good, So you can't argue with me that you're atheist and not acknowledge that the only reason you're allowed to be atheist is because of Jesus.
Yep.
So, and that's kind of the whole kind of crux with a lot of this liberal and woke stuff, and I think a lot of people would look at me and say, oh, this guy's actually pretty liberal because of the kind of books he writes and most of my political beliefs and stuff. But I'd say I'm definitely centerish right, but I'm just you cannot have these beliefs and not acknowledge our history, and we're in this room because of this religion and what it's brought to us. Right. So if you want to be atheist, cool. but acknowledge that we're here and we've had this great society in Europe and in America because of these teachings from this man, right?
Mhm.
And if you want to like say, oh, I don't know if he's God, I don't believe him or this, that, that's fine. But like, you should acknowledge that that's like where it came from, you know, and like a lot of religions don't give you that freedom, and you want them to come in your country. You want them to have kids. You want them to populate. You want them to assimilate. You're not going to get it, man. It's just a bad choice.
Yep. No. Assimilation can work, but in small numbers, and it requires a dedication to our way of viewing things. They basically have to change their own religion to fit into our society.
Yeah.
And that's also how Christianity has survived. Christianity has evolved and changed itself to fit into the modern world. We have to expect the same from Islam as well.
Sure. Yep. I agree with you. 100%. And there's gotta be better versions of Islam. Like I think in Malaysia and some of those like island countries, it's not as intense as it is in the Middle East.
Mhm.
You know, I think women have more rights there. I haven't studied them extensively, but I think a Muslim woman in Malaysia has a lot more rights than a Muslim woman in Saudi Arabia. I think, maybe some of your viewers know more. I'm not seeing the stream, so I don't see what their chat is.
I think the latest thing they were talking about is Empire of Dust, which I don't know if you've seen Empire of Dust.
Oh, it's a movie?
Yes, it's free on YouTube. It's up on YouTube.
Okay.
It is telling the story about a Chinese company that goes to Africa and tries to build a road.
Oh,
and the countless challenges they run into building that fucking road.
I bet. Oh, man.
It's just madness.
Yeah.
Like it gives you that perfect insight in culture as well, because then you've got the Chinese who have all of their own problems. Like the Chinese are basically the Germans of Asia. They want to be oppressed. They long for the boot. They want it.
Yep.
And they manage to get it, but they're a very industrial people. They're willing to work. They're willing to build. They do need the whip when building, because here's the thing as well. They're also very personal, clan buildy. They want to build their family. And if that means building high rises, for example, out of paper mache instead of concrete, they will happily do so. And they've got an expressively us versus them mentality. Like, I remember a story. There was a lot of attempts to import steel from China because it was really, really cheap. And what they would do is they'd put like top quality steel on the top level in the container. So people would come in, they'd open the container, check the steel. Yep, that's all perfect. Then they'd unload it, and 90% of it would be just rusted pig iron.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do anything because they could sue them and go to a Chinese court, and they'd be just like, well, didn't check.
Yeah, it's funny because we just were having a conversation this morning about making figurines for the characters of the game for Tamer, like Sheila, like little like miniature stuff to give to some people. And my art guy was like, well, if we send them all the vector model 3D files, like, can they just like take them?
They
and
can.
I'm like, yep. He's like, well, can you sue him? I'm like, nope. Like, I cannot. I'm like, I'm gonna sue a Chinese company in Chinese courts? Not gonna happen. It's like, so whatever we give them is just gonna be out in the atmosphere. And if Tamer ever gets like super, super big, there's gonna be fake Tamer models out there by all these Chinese companies, right? Yep. So then my marketing guy was like, okay, well, do you even really want to do this then? If knowing that like you're basically giving them access to all of our stuff. And I'm like, well, if it gets that big, they're going to figure it out anyways, right? Like, so it probably doesn't matter anyways. It's kind of just like, the problem we have with piracy, right? Is like, the game is getting pirated a ton. And people, these guys justify it in any way they can, right? And it really just comes down to they just don't want to pay money for it. But, Steam has the license where you have a license to play the game as a developer intended on your computer, right? That's the license, right? And you don't own the game because ownership confers a certain amount of rights to redistribute the game or resell the thing. And this actually happened with someone who bought my ebook and was selling my ebook. And I was like, you can't sell my ebook. And he's like, no, I own the ebook. I own the ebook, and under laws, I own the thing. I can sell the thing, right? So that's why language has kind of changed around these video games, because it's like, because if you just bought like a paperback book or you bought like a game cartridge, yeah, you own that game cartridge or you own that book, the physical book, and you can give it to someone or you can sell it again to someone. But if you own a digital game, well, then the right that is assumed is I can sell that digital game because I own the game. So that's why the language has changed to you are licensed to play the game, right? To prevent that stuff, right? So people are like, well, you're on Steam. I don't actually own the game on Steam, so I'm not, since I can't own it, piracy is okay. Well, but that's kind of bullshit, because like, we can't tell you own the game, because if I tell you own the game, then you can have the rights to resell the game, right? So like, you can have, you can own the license to play the game on your computer, as I kind of intended you to play the game and enjoy the game, but like, I can't tell you own the digital game, because then that gives you the rights to redistribute the game, right? But because they're like, oh, it's on Steam. And so basically a ton of people are pirating my game and being like, well, Michael-Scott's got it on Steam, so I'm not going to own it anyway, so I might as well pirate it. Well, that fucking sucks, dude, because like, again, I spent $2 million of my own money to make the game. And you obviously like the game, because people on this group are like, yeah, the game's awesome. I love playing it. This is great. I'm glad I got it for free. Ugh, that sucks, dude. You know, I'm not some big developing studio making games. I'm just, like I said, a dude with money and a dream and like 6 developers in a trench coat, right? We're just like trying to make the thing, and like these guys like all have salaries, they've got families, I gotta pay them every month, right? You know, so the piracy thing is just really kind of sucks, because people are justifying piracy with these like rights, you know. But it has to be that way, because everything's moved from physical game to, you know, to like stuff on you know, electronic. And like, there was, if this is the old time, like in like the late 90s or the early 2000s, where there was no electronic distribution, right? Like I this wouldn't be out. I couldn't make it. I couldn't make this thing without Steam. I couldn't make this game without early access. I just, there's just not enough. Like, I mean playtesting alone, right? Like, we had a ton of playtesters go through the game, and we played a bunch and we found bugs. But then when the game came out, it was like, oh my God, we've got like 800 fucking bugs in this game that we didn't find, and all the players found a report to us, and we were working our ass off 24/7 to get it all cleaned up, and we made like 4 patches since the game came out, and now we're like, okay, people are still finding bugs here or there, but like we just could not physically or financially fix all the bugs, you know. So this kind of model of electronic distribution of games has really helped us make this game. And if it was the old model where it's like, well, you have to physically give a copy of the game, and the physical game has to be perfect, like it would have taken 8 years to make the game, so much play testing, all these different things, it just would have been impossible, you know. So don't pirate games, kids. So there's plenty of free games out there, right? Like the game, you know, if my game sounds good, buy it. We could use the money. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't think it's at all unreasonably priced either. You're asking around about $20 for it, which I think is a great price for what it is, particularly the amount of content, so on. I think it's perfectly fair.
Yeah, and that's actually another like huge mistake I made when the game came out. Is I was like, okay, I looked at like Subverse, who's our really only competition, and I think Carnal Rage is another one. They were both at $40, and I know when they came out in early access, they had like Subverse had 10 minutes of gameplay. Right. So I was like, okay, Subverse had 10 minutes of gameplay when it came out. It was like $40. We've got 3 to 6 hours of gameplay. The game looks a lot better. So I came out and I priced it $40. And I didn't do regional pricing. I just did like it's $40 everywhere, right? Because I was like, it kind of sucks that Americans have to pay more. Right? Like, why are we paying more? Because we're in America, right? That's like, I mean, we do that with drugs, we do it with cars, we do it with all this stuff. We just have to pay more because we're in America and we're like the rich country, so we got to pay more. So I was like, that's bullshit. I'm not gonna do that. It's $40 everywhere, right? But the outrage the gamers had was like, I was not ready for it, right? And we looked at it and I'm like, man, like, okay, like it's early access, so like charging $40 is too much. And I hadn't, you know, so we lower the price, but I haven't realized like all these companies had their games. We're talking like $15-$20 in these other countries, like so incredibly cheap, right? Like Americans are kind of getting fucked by all this stuff, right? Because like Cyberpunk will come out. I mean, Cyberpunk's original price, I think for us was like $60, but in like Philippines, it was like $10, like for the same game. Like
regional pricing is a big thing.
Yeah, so like it came out and everyone, and I had a bunch of people talking to me and arguing with me and stuff, and then I talked to other developers and stuff, and I'm like, I guess I gotta lower the price, but like I was like, I can't, I just don't feel like, and this is, it's like such a weird thing because people in other countries are like, we just don't make as much as you do in America, and I'm like, yeah, but like, why should America get fucked because we're America, like why? So like, there's no right answer to this stuff, right? So, but I was eventually like, okay, it is early access. I only have 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours of gameplay. Like, okay, like I'll lower the price to it. So we lowered it to $25, and we did it quick. We did it like 4 hours after it came out, right? Because there was so much negative feedback. And then regional pricing, like, well, what do you want to do regional pricing? I'm like, well, let's just lower it so it's $20, right? Which is still like a lot of countries like it's too much money. It's $20. I'm like, it's cheaper than America, but it's not like I don't feel like it's $5 more in America, which again, if it was me, it'd be the same price, but like they will not put up with it. These people in other countries will be like, it must be priced lower than America, like, or else we will hate you. And I had people buy the game and leave a negative review about how we weren't doing regional pricing and then refund the game. And like, I was like, we were getting slammed on reviews and I'm like, this fucking sucks, dude. So that's what we ended up going with. And some people still complain about the price, but I still feel like I think $20 is like fair. And I've been to other countries before and I go to other countries and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to like buy some cheap electronics or some cheap games here. And like, they're not cheaper, like I go to other countries and the main thing that's cheaper is food, but like everything else is kind of the same price as America. So like, I think people are going to get mad at me no matter, I don't know what your chat's saying right now because I don't see it, but people are going to get mad at me no matter how I price the game, but I felt like, the game is going to end up being 30-ish, 25 to 30-ish hours long. I think it's really high quality. I think we're going to have the endless hunt mode. It's going to add even hundreds more hours to it. I think it'd be a good value at $40, but early access at $25 or $20, I think is another price. It sounds fair to me again. But I have people messaging me basically like, hey, I would play this game if it was $5, so you should price it at $5, like, or otherwise you're not going to get me. And you don't realize how many more sales you would get at $5. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, Steam, after like I get like 60% of the game, the value, right? Because Steam takes out VAT. The VAT, you guys, in Europe is insane.
Oh yeah,
like it is.
We have
so
25% value-added tax in Norway.
Yeah, so like that, like $20 I charge Europe, 25% goes to VAT, right? And then the remainder of that, there's a transaction fee Steam charges, and then they take 30%. So I'm like making like half or less than half of that, right? And that's like, it's just kind of ridiculous, So yeah, someone be like, oh, you should charge $5 for the game. It's like, okay, so I make $2, $2.50 off of the game that like it took 3 years of people making, and it cost me $2 million like to make. And it's like, I think it's a really good game right now, and it's only going to get better. Like I just don't think that's fair to me, or to the people that have worked in the game, or to what's in the industry right now. I think like a lot of these adult games, they're at $40 or more. I know Subverse went on sale when we did, right? So they're $10 now, but and yeah, you might people disagree with me in chat, but like I don't know, if you want nice things, it's like you pay the developer, right? And we'll make nice things,
Yeah.
Or else we get live service bullshit, right? We get like the game is free, but if you want all these other things, you got to pay me money, right? Like that's what we get with this stuff if the game is free. And I never wanted that. I always wanted to be like, you buy the game and you get a lot of good shit with it. You get the whole game, you get a bunch of cool skins you unlock with achievements, and maybe like we're going to do DLC with extra outfits, but like I'm still planning on getting over 20 outfits for each girl in the game, that you can get through achievements. Like we have a really cool race themed one. We've got, we're going to give stuff for the endless hunt. There's going to get really cool skins. We got fishing skins when you get fishing achievements and gardening achievements and cooking achievements. You get all these really cool skins. That's just going to be included in the game. But if the game was free, you'd have to pay for all that extra shit. And I just think that's nickel and diamond. I just don't think that's a good experience as a gamer. I want to pay my money for the game and then play the game and not have to worry about buying all this extra shit for it.
Well, like DLC also, there's nothing particularly wrong with DLC so long it's worth it. And
yeah,
the interesting part is you're saying you're going to add like 20 skins per girl. Subverse said they were going to add skins as well for the various waifus. I think they released like one color palette change for the robot, and that's it.
They cannot.
I am so disappointed over fucking Subverse because I was really hyped for that.
Yeah, they could not do more skins on Subverse.
No. And I was really excited because I want adult focused games. I want good story, good gameplay with an adult romance story. I hope that would be Subverse. I did a big promo for them. Then they stabbed me in the back and called me a Nazi because, of course, that was amusing. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
They didn't fulfill their promises. Like no skins. The story itself was like, okay, I don't mind it. Animations are good, all of that. They released the final story eventually. But the RTS mode is still bare bones. They clearly focused only on the top-down shoot-'em-up elements. Like, it's good, but it could and should have been a lot more, particularly considering they had no budget limitations. They were a huge studio, huge company, loads of promise. I was really hoping that they would be the icebreaker to open this market to more people, and they really fell short of that mark.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much shit about them. I mean, they well look there. I mean, there wouldn't be this game if not for Subverse, because I saw what Subverse was doing and I played the game and I was like, okay, they did a lot of good stuff, and I think, like, again, what you said they're missing, I also agreed. Like, if I can do a good story and a good game and also have the adult stuff, I've got a winner, right? Because I think people wanted that in Subverse, they didn't get it, and Subverse has sold like crazy. People love, I don't know if they love Subverse, but they bought it, and it's got decent reviews. So I'm like, I feel like the bar is not that high for me to do a really great game and maybe make the best game in the genre, you know, until we make the next game. But again, we got a lot of work to do for that. Like, I think the game right now, like I said, it's only like 3 to 6 hours of playtime. We fixed a bunch of bugs, but we've got a ton of other work to do with the Endless Hunt, fixes the block 1, then adding block 2 and block 3. But once we are done, the story should be 25-ish to 30 hours of gameplay just to do the story and the quest, and then you'll have Endless Hunt, which should be, you know, unlimited amount of time. If people really like it and it sells good, we've talked about, like, okay, can we do a co-op version? Can someone play as Sheila and someone play as Victor? Can we do an even better version where someone you can play as Trell or Galmine or Kasseri, and then can we do animations for them, and then we do 4-player co-op, right? Like we've talked about, can we if people like the game mode, right? And if it sells enough. But you know, right now our goal is to basically like make my money back and make enough to make the next game. But if we can make a bunch of extra off of that, then like, okay, we can do tons of improvements to Tamer. And really make it like, I think it's just having the story to go through is super fun. I think we did a great job on it, but if we can add a ton of cool stuff to this Endless Hunt mode where you get like kind of a roguelike on there with the characters, I think it'll just be like amazing. And it can give you guys, you know, hundreds of hours of game time to play on the game that, you know, you bought for $25 or $20, you know, because you bought in early access. So we appreciate that.
I think it'll work out quite well.
Thank you.
Let me start with some of the super chats then, as we'll begin wrapping up and see if there are any questions as well. Barbarians Are Us for $50. My sacrifice of 1,000 souls to the Omnissiah worked. We live, lads. Yes. Many technical difficulties aside, we eventually rose like the phoenix from the ashes. Naman on Kick, Earl's Primal Aura, so strong, Archer's tech had a stroke. I can explain it in no other way. Genuinely, I don't have a better explanation for it.
Well, you and I were talking, and you're like, you don't have to turn your camera on. And I'm like, I should have the camera on because, like, sometimes when I talk, people think I'm an asshole. But if I'm like, if I can see them face to face, they're like, oh, this guy's like pretty cool. Like I can like somewhat be charming. But if I'm just like talking to someone on the phone, or if I'm writing something, like, oh, this guy's kind of a fucking dick, you know. But I don't mean it like that. I'm just like trying to be as straightforward with my words as I can be, and trying to be honest too. And I think a lot of people are afraid to be honest because they might hurt people's feelings. And you know, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but I also don't think being dishonest about stuff helps.
Absolutely. And God, the only thing I changed was adding the camera, but I cannot see any physical or digital reason why that should fuck with my microphone. I just have no clue what happened. Unironically, none. But hey, we survived. Somewhat. Ochigado, Michael, unfortunately, I lost you when Amazon kicked you out. Only just recently have income to start reading again. Congrats on growing.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And second one from Machigador as well. And Kick, it was you and Jan Strivant that got me into this genre. This and last chat for Dawnwalker.
Oh, John might be a good person for you to have on. He's a bit of a grumpy old man, but I love him.
I love grumpy old men.
He will definitely talk your
ready
ear
to
off.
wreck
He's got
this yellow
huge life
mare's
experience. He's done all this work on
buttery butt?
airplanes. His books are really good. Yeah, he'd be great to have on the program. He loves talking too, so like, yeah, you'd probably like him. He would talk a lot about like politics and stuff like that. He's good. But definitely get ready for a grumpy old man.
Sounds just about perfect, honestly.
Yep.
Namanamano Kick, as one who came to the Tamer audiobooks from the game, I'm looking forward to the future content. Can we start the Tamer Book Club now, Arch?
Right.
A Tamer Book Club. Well, it'll be more enjoyable than More Milking Farm, at the very least. That's for sure.
Yep. And I've got some other series too, like they'd probably like Star Justice or Monster Empire, or I mean, anyone that's got kids will probably love Monster Empire because it's kind of like think about it as like a super dark Bluey type story. You know,
Super dark Bluey.
Have you seen that show Bluey?
I have not seen
dogs?
Bluey. I've been told many good things about it, but I haven't watched it.
It's basically kind of a similar story to Tamer. This guy gets put into a fantasy world, and the monsters live under the surface. They can't come out in the sun. And every human has 2 superpowers on the world. And he has the power to breed with the monster women. And once he breeds with them, they can come out in the sun. So he ends up getting all these monster girl wives, and they have monster kids, half human kids, and they're all like insane. So he has this family of like, he's got a goblin wife, he's got like a mermaid wife, he's got like an orc wife, and they're all just absolutely crazy, insane. And all the kids are insane. And he's like trying to wrangle everyone while he lives in this homestead. And so it's tons of laughs. It's just it's kind of my ode to parenting, you know, because if anyone that has parents or anyone that has kids, like you just know how crazy they are and stuff. And I put a lot of that in the book because it's definitely kind of like a dark, fun humor story.
That does actually sound pretty cool. Yes.
Yeah. And then if you like Warhammer, you'll like Space Knight, or if you like action stuff, you like Star Justice a lot. If you like Vikings, I got Viking Runesmith, which is a kind of a epic dark fantasy survival story.
I might check that one out, definitely, because Vikings are cool.
Yep, I agree.
Zaloxon Doppelganger, let's pretend for a moment that Congress is a single moral fiber. What if they passed a law that all platforms must abide by the First Amendment worldwide in response to the UK's laws? Yeah. I mean, I would love that, but unfortunately, I'm not sure it's going to happen, tragically.
I think as more people get dissatisfied with these kind of major platforms, there'll be other stuff like you probably might not be up on the news, but Audible has pushed really hard to for the AI voice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, this is the whole freaking conversation. But you would probably be interested in this. So, Audible takes 60% of the money. If you're exclusive. If you're not exclusive, they take 75% of the money, right? And so, and for a while there, when a customer refunded the audiobook, they not only clawed the money back from the publisher or the author, they would charge them for it. So you could actually have like negative money from Audible. So that got stopped with like a lawsuit. And then Audible changed all their stuff. But like, for the longest period of time, Audible's been trying to do what the book stuff does with Kindle Unlimited, where basically like you can read a book for free pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a part of the membership, right? They want to do that with audiobooks. The problem with audiobooks is that you have to pay a fucking narrator to do the freaking book, right? So if I write a book on my own, in my home, in my pajamas, right? I spend X hours writing the book, let's say 100 hours, right? Spend 100 hours writing my book. I spend maybe $500 to $1,000 on a cover. I put it up. Boom, my book's up on Amazon. Yay, right? And then I make like $20 from Kindle Unlimited, people reading the book. I'm like, okay, I didn't make any money off this, really, for much time put in. But I wrote the book. Yay me, I wrote a book. I'm awesome, right?
Yep.
But with the audiobook, no narrator is going to narrate that book for free. You got to pay them. $200 an hour at the minimum, sometimes even more. $800 an hour could be for the guys. So now you're like, okay, that book that I wrote for free, and I kind of ate the cost because it was a fun hobby. Now I'm spending $2,000 to get the audiobook made, and now I made $20.
Yep.
Fuck that. fuck that, right? So people don't want to make audiobooks because they don't get their money back. It's not a good business opportunity. And Amazon for a long time has been like, well, like you're not going to make money. We're not promising you make money. But then authors are like, but you take 60%, dog, right? You just have the store, but you take 60% and I pay to make the audiobook. It's my book. I pay the narrator and you take 60%? Huh.
Yep.
Right. So Amazon's been like, well, now we have this AI voice thing. You click a button, it makes your audiobook AI voice for free. So you don't pay anything. Now we just get the audiobook for free. But now customers don't want to pay for that, right? Because they're like, the voice acting shitty, right?
Yep.
So now Amazon's like, well, okay, we'll make audiobooks free then. We'll have a membership, just like an Unlimited. You pay $12 a month and you get unlimited audiobooks, but the voice acting shit, right? Because it's all AI stuff, right? And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And Amazon's had new payment terms that came out for all new books on the platform. It's like you get basically like a piece of this pie then again. And already authors and publishers are like, no, we're not making any money. Like I can't afford to keep making audiobooks because I'm not making enough money. And then Amazon's like, okay, great. We've got this AI voice thing. If you can't afford to hire a narrator to do it, just use this AI voice thing and you'll get it made for free and they can be part of this stuff, right? So that's where the war is right now. So a lot of people are going to, I actually own a website called Audiobook Guild and we sell audiobooks on BookFunnel. We have a ton of audiobooks in the genre. If you like harem genre, you like male power fantasy, we've got them. We've got LitRPG books on there. But these authors, like they make 70% of the money instead of 40% or 25%. They make all the money. And they're high quality normally duet narrated, so you get a guy and a girl narrate at the same time, and it's done really well. And more authors are like, fuck Audible, Michael-Scott, can I put my audiobook up on your website because like I'll actually make money then, and we're getting tons of authors that are adding, right? But I don't know we got there, but like there's just a lot of predatory practices from these big companies because they think they own the marketplace. And, I think when it gets bad enough, people are just going to be like, I'm fucking out. And if you're looking for an audiobook on Audible and everything is AI voice generated and you hate that, well, then you're not going to want to buy audiobooks there. You're going to go to Audiobook Guild where everything's not AI done. And you're going to pay the money if you want the high quality, right? Now, if you don't care about the quality and you just like, well, I get it's $12 a month and I get to listen to whatever I want to listen to. And yeah, the voices sucks. Well, then you've got Audible, right? But I think that definitely the market is starting to schism in that way where people are just like, I don't want to deal with these guys because they're a bunch of fuckers. I'd rather deal with a guy that's going to pay me an honest percentage to host the book,
Yep. No, absolutely.
You got me going on Audible, right? Like I just like, those guys on Audible, it's crazy, right? Like it's just insane. Those rates they pay are just awful. It's fucking robbery, dude. You imagine your business, you pay for everything and they take 60%. Oh my God. That's a law that should change, right? They should just change it so all these online distributors, these stores, like they should just say like you can't take more than 20%, right? Steam, you can't take more than 20%, right? Amazon ebooks, like Spotify, you can't take more than 20%. All these stuff, like you can't take more than 20%, right? That should just be the flat law. But if that law was ever on the books, these companies would lobby so hard with Congress they would never get passed.
Never happen. Not in a million years.
No. But that would be fair, right? All right, I'm gonna step off my soapbox.
Marinalva at work, have to watch later. Well, that's fine. We have to restart 3 times anyway, so we've got plenty of time. Black 1917. Hail Christ, our Lord and Savior. Ari Masaki. Also, Michael, who is your anime waifu? The important questions.
Oh man, anime waifu. Oh jeez. Okay. Crap. Oh, dude, I should have come up with this question, but like, man. Damn, that was a good one. Crap. Okay. Man, I am stumped because there's so many.
There are quite a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. Let me like quickly look up on a list here and just try to like let anything spark my brain. I mean, I gotta think Kagero from Ninja Scroll because that was like my first,
Okay. Kagero.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, from Ninja Scroll, like that had to be like, that was like one of the first animes I watched where I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I freaking love it. Right. And she was like kind of a tragic, heroine and died at the end, but like, I mean, does Edge Runners count as anime? Because I like Lucy
Sure.
from
Yeah.
Cyberpunk. Yeah. Part of kind of the issue with
I remember
a
Ninja
lot.
Scrolls. I watched that. It fucking traumatized me.
Yep. Kind of the issue with like a lot of anime is you get these kind of tropey women, and I and as a guy that works with tropes, I get it, but like you get like the Faye Valentine trope, right? And then you see these shows, and they're all kind of Faye Valentine, right? And then you get like the dumb girl that's like, like kind of an airhead, and you're like, and then you get like the girl that loves the hero, but like she's too proud to admit it thing.
Yep.
And I'm
The
like,
tropes.
actually, all right, I have a really good one. Probably my favorite, okay, the Monta Tagore, like Beika Monta Tagore. Have you seen that?
Bakemonogatari?
Yeah, that one.
I've seen that one, yes.
Okay, like I love the first couple seasons of that show,
Solid.
and then it got a little too incestuous. Right? But there's
little.
never, a lot incestuous, right? What was the girl's name with the purple skirt, the purple hair? Like there has never been a more real anime chick than her. She was like the most real girl. And she's not really in it in the seasons after. She's only in season 1. I don't get it, because she was like, she told it to him straight. She's like, I like you. Remember, she's in the car with him in the backseat, and her dad. She's like, hey, let's make out right now. And her dad is like, your dad's like right there. And she's like, oh, he won't mind. I was like she, like half the shit she said was to just fucking mess with him, and it was all funny. And I was like, man, this is like, she actually felt like she had a personality and was like different than so many of the other anime girls.
Yep. Then they wrote her out to focus on each of
Yeah,
the
they
other
wrote her
heroines
out.
one by one.
Yeah, and the other heroines were fine, right? Like I love that series up until it got like weird with his sisters, right? Like but I like the art style, I love the music, I love the girls, I love like all that stuff, and then it just got like, I feel like it kind of ruined it. But like the first couple seasons were so great. And they did the whole like, oh, here's like this powerful vampire chick who's really like a little kid. Like, that's just, why do they do that in anime, man? Like,
they like their lollies.
Senjo Hara, that was the character's name. I just looked it up. Yeah, she was great. If you haven't seen that anime, I would watch just the first 2 seasons. It's really good. And then I think it was the first season, it just gets off the rails with its sisters and stuff, and it's like so incestuous. It's really gross. But like up until then, it's fantastic. So yeah, that would be, I guess, long answer to a short question. Sorry about that.
Subukaji, hey Art, are you ready for the Stamford Bridge reenactment this weekend? Yes, football, Norway versus England. We will beat them too, just like we beat the Brazilians. There's no doubt in my mind. It will happen. It is ordained.
Nice.
Car forever. So, question for guest: brunette, blonde, or the clearly superior redhead?
My wife is a redhead, so that can answer the question.
Oh, I don't want to go off on yet another tangent now, but the ginger genocide in Hollywood and animation.
Oh yeah.
Not too long ago, I went through the old DC animated roster, the DC animated universe, and it's so fucking good. But there are redheads everywhere. Like, the women are all beautiful, all confident, all effective, different, lots of different temperaments, loads of redheads. Today, there are none. And if she was a redhead, she's being played by a black person now.
Yep. 100%. Yep. Man, speaking of that old DC stuff, dude, like Batman Beyond is one of my favorite TV shows.
Oh, it's
and I don't think it gets enough. I know everyone talks about the original OG Batman series, but like, my opinion, Batman Beyond is like a little better than that one.
Batman Beyond has more consistent episodes because Bats, the animated series, has some absolute standouts. Some of the best episodes ever animated. But it goes up and down quite a lot, whilst Batman Beyond is solid throughout the entire run.
Well, I feel like they had like a plan. Like here's the beginning. Like they had a story that they wanted to kind of tell. Where Batman the animated series was just like, well, it's a bunch of episodic kind of ones, which is fine. I like that. I mean, like both. It's like like I said, if you like brunette or redhead or blonde supermodels, they're all great. But I do prefer redheads, so I do prefer Batman Beyond.
Mr. Havoc at MSE, well, sorry, I'm presuming is you. I still have my Destroyer copies on Kindle. You got me into reading the genre back in the day, along with William D. Arend with Other Life.
Heck yeah. I like that guy too. We chat all the time.
Chickador asks, Michael, ever watch Dino Rider, 90s cartoon?
I did watch that a little bit. And so actually, this is funny because I've been told my pacing of my stories are a little slow. And otherwise, like William Arand, if you like that author, or like Jason Cipriano, who's another author in the genre, but like. So I always often joke that like if I wrote like those guys, the end of the first book would be like Dino Riders because they'd have like rocket launchers on Tyrannosaurus Rexes by the end of the first book, right? But my pacing's like so slow, it's like wow, like it's a whole book and they built a fort, right? And it's the next whole book is like, well, they expanded the walls of the fort, right? And then the next book after that is like, oh, they found salt and they found like another tribe, right? So like the story is my progression seems really slow compared to a lot of other authors.
I like world building like that. One of my favorite mangas is it's called Harem in the Labyrinth, which sounds again like it's going to be just like a stupid smut book, and it does have a lot of hentai in it. But the world building is so fucking dense. It's basically like the guy arrives in an RPG setting, so he has stats and all kind of stuff. And they just, every stat, every element of this RPG world is explained and expanded upon at length. Nice. And I love that. It's really cool.
I just added that to my list. Thank you for the recommendation.
That's a nice one. You'll have a wonderful inspiration there for future heroines. Roxanne, the main character, or the main love interest.
Love it.
Nathan Cassidy, have you heard of the Dinosaur Lord series? Think Game of Thrones meets Jurassic Park? It's sadly unfinished as the author died, but it is a fun read.
That was actually funny. That was one of the books I looked at when I was writing. I think it was one that I was writing Tamer. Maybe it was Dinosaur Knights. No, it was Dinosaur Lords. This is the book I looked at, one of them, and it got such terrible reviews. And everyone was like, I love dinosaurs, but this book ain't it. That was like the overwhelming like feedback on it, right? So I'm glad you like it because someone liked it, but like I remember looking at this particular book because the cover art was so beautiful, and I'm like, oh man, this looks great, like this book surely would have sold. And then the reviews were like, oh no, we hate it. Let me look at it now. Oh no, yeah, that was got it's 3.9. That's not very good. The grand scheme of Amazon stuff. But yeah, I remember specifically looking at this book when I was working on Tamer because like if this book looks beautiful, it should totally sell. And then the reviews were like, no, I hate it. It doesn't do a good job with the dinosaurs. And that gave me confidence to write mine because I was like, I think I could do a good job with the dinosaurs. But I'm glad you like it.
James Kuhn for another 50. Thank you, sir. Hello, Art and Michael. Hope your day is going well. Michael, question to you. Was wondering how happy you were to see your book Dinosaur Tamer as a game on Steam, and if you had any say in it. Well, he did. He actually made it.
I actually made it with my own money. So I am very happy.
And Art, have you seen the Dawn of War 4 Battlefield report? To me, it looks good. I have seen a bit of it. I don't mind it. They don't seem to have cover all of a sudden, which confuses me a bit. But it looks okay. I think it'll hopefully be a decent game. After the train wreck that was 3. I hope so. Voitan, Tamer, King of Dinosaurs would be perfect for a Boris Vallejo-style art cover. That would work.
Yeah,
that would work. Blaystone, greetings, Art, an esteemed author. Question for Mr. Scott about his game. Will there be mod support to expand the game? Might help with the complaints about it being too small. And if you like a particular mod, you can always buy it off them.
Yeah, I like the... we're gonna do mods. The problem we kind of have right now is the game's not really done, and so I didn't really want to open up mods because I don't want someone breaking the game and then blaming us, or doing something on YouTube with a bunch of wacky stuff in there and then like, oh well, this game sucks, right? So I'm asking people to just like, hey, let us like finish the game, right? And then we're gonna add mod support or whatever we can do, for it. And then I don't care. People want whatever people want to do to have fun in the game, and I think it's a great tool to make improvements to the game and look at it. And we've actually like I've looked at some of my favorite like cyberpunk mods, and like we've tried to reach out to some of those people and been like, hey, like one cyberpunk mod has a really good photography setup. And we've kind of reached out to that guy to be like, hey, would you be interested in making like a photography type add-on to Tamer so we could take pictures of the game, right? And so we might not work out with him, but we're like, hey, this guy did a really good thing on Cyberpunk mod. Like, maybe we get him to work on Tamer.
Yep.
But yeah, those are cool, right? But yeah, that would be awesome. But right now, like the game, we're still painting the plane while it's on the runway. So we don't want to start tweaking the engine.
That's a good idea. And the inevitable question comes from Boog asking, Mr. Scott, who is the best pony?
The best pony?
The best pony.
Is this like My Little Pony reference?
This is My Little Pony reference, yes.
All right. Well, I actually know a lot about this because I have two girls and they watched My Little Pony. And it's always Applejack because she's the hardest working pony. And she's got a positive attitude about work the whole time. So it's for sure 100% Applejack because she fucking works. And that's
go, Boog.
My main thing is work ethic and working.
Boog finally received a straight answer to his question. Congratulations, Boog. Boog also asks, what is the max amount of harem members before the harem falls apart or before the harem members become cardboard cutouts made just for collection?
Oh man, that's a great question actually, because like here is the problem with writing in this genre. I guess there's a problem with pretty much all books that have long series is every guy wants you, or all the customers want me to build the harem. They want more girls, right? But they also are like, spend more time with these girls, right?
With my
so
favorite.
Like it's like yeah. So like especially if they have a favorite girl, right? They like want more time with that girl. So it just becomes a challenge to really like to do that, right? So it's tough. So I kind of have a little formula that you may have realized if you read my books. I try to have like a reason on each story for each book to like have time with a specific woman. So they get a lot of time. Or then I try to do like, okay, I keep track of like, they've spent so much time with this group of girls and this group of girls. Who have you not spent time with in like the last book? And then, okay, can I get these groups together? And I try to make it feel as organic as possible with the way the challenges of the story are and stuff. And it's a bit of a juggling act, but I feel like I've done a pretty good job of it so far. But there definitely is difficulty. And I want to get Tamer to 20 books. And it's probably not going to, that's probably the limit of the amount of women that he's going to be able to, to service. If you want to use that word. But even now, like in the book, like Victor's like a little bit like, look, I don't have like, this is almost like a second job, like taking care of all the ladies. Right. Yeah, but then the problem though is like I've legit had people say like, hey, I've stopped reading books when they stop adding women, right? And I just don't want to do it anymore. Like you got to keep building the harem. I'm not interested, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I just kind of like have to I listen to feedback from all the readers. I'm always open to ideas. If anyone has any like thoughts about books or this, they send me emails or they chat with me or whatever, and I'm like, if I like the idea, I will totally use it. And if I don't like the idea, or if I just don't think it'll work, I'll just say, hey, I'm not going to use it because, and I normally kind of give a reason, like it just doesn't work because of this and this and this. And, but I have when I do my Kickstarters for my books, I have like it's called the Overlord tier, and it's $1,000, and it's someone spends $1,000 and they get to be on the outline call with me and my editor. And they get to just throw me ideas like all the stuff they want in the book, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I can't do that because these readers are like, oh, that's a fucking good idea. And every time I've done it, someone's pitched in $1,000 to be on the call with me, And I've always gotten amazing ideas from that person because they're like a hardcore fan, right? No one's going to spend $1,000 if they don't fucking love the series, right? So these are dudes that are like super, super into the story and they have all these good ideas and they like they have a girl in particular they really like all the time and they've got all this stuff and, like I think one guy I had I was like 3 or so books ago, he was like, I want more Jinx. Like I love Jinx. And for me, I'm like, oh yeah, Jinx is in the story, but like, I don't really focus on him that much. So I made a point to be like, I want to add way more Jinx stuff in every book since then. And I think the fans have been like, yay, more Jinx. Jinx is awesome, right? And then for me, it kind of escaped my mind. I'm like, hey, he's a little kind of pet dinosaur there, but he's got a lot of dinosaurs, but like definitely put a lot more personality of him and put him in all the stories. And I got that from a reader that was like, I really love Jinx. Can you just add more Jinx stuff in the books, right? So I'm totally down for feedback from people. But yeah, it does become difficult to manage all the relationships. At that point. So, but that's part of the job, right? And I mean, like, it's like, I don't want to complain too much because I'm writing books about banging hot women, whatever. it's a living.
It's a living. It's a humble living. Yelvia Gonzalez, I've already bought my monthly adult game. How dare you make me go over budget like this? I demand reparations.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Chigador, Star Justice Best Universe. Would love that game.
Yeah. So we talked about doing Star Justice next. And I'm a huge fan of story-driven first-person shooters. Like, I freaking love them. Like, all the Castle Wolfenstein games, I freaking love. I love Titanfall 2. Like, I really want to do that. And I think we could do an awesome job doing with Star Justice, right? But as we're working on the Endless Hunt thing for Tamer, I started thinking like, man, space. If we were just to do a roguelike game, Space Knight is such a really good fit. Because the way the classes are already set up, the way the armor is, the way the ships are, the way the actual. I mean, if some of you have read the books, but like it's literally like, oh, there's a Grendel. They're the bad guys. There's a Grendel portal on this world. Go down, kill them, and then get the loot chest. Right? It's like set up for it. So I'm thinking like, man, we could probably do like a Risk of Rain 2 style or TMNT Shredder's Revenge style or like a Dark Tide type style Space Knight game, over the shoulder third person type stuff, where you play these Space Knights and we can just put adult scenes in it like right off the bat. And like I've gotten really excited about it and I started kind of brainstorming with the crew and I don't know what we're gonna do next, right? We're still working on Tamer and we still got to make the money for that. But I was like, man, this might be less expensive to make than Star Justice because we could do the game first without the story, then we can add the story on later as they play Nick. But we could do basically like build your team of 4 Space Knights, buy cool outfits for them as you get more points, buy armor for them, and then you're in the spaceship, you can make them have sex with each other, or you can co-op play with your friend or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever friend you want to play with, and you can have sex with each other's character because it's co-op, right? That's kind of the ideas we're throwing out there, and I'm like, no one is doing this right now. Like, there is not a game like that right now. And the interesting things about like Risk of Rain, I love that game, and I think I have like many hundreds of hours in it, but like I go and I play the game and I pick the character, like, oh, I'm gonna play the Archer this time, or the Huntress, I'm gonna play the Commando this time, but I'm just picking the class that I'm playing. You go through the game and you play it, right? But like in Vermintide and in Dark Tide, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play my character, right? I forget the names of the classes, right? I'm gonna play my character, right? And I have my outfit for that guy. I've got the skill set for him. I've got that. This is really compelling, to play that. But I also kind of felt like I got to the point where it's like, okay, I kind of beat the game because I beat all these stages on the hardest level, right? So there's something cool about Risk of Rain where like you just want to keep playing that game endlessly. But there's something cool about Dark Tide where it's like, well, it's my character and I've given them the outfits that I've made in there. So like that's kind of what we're like, how do we make it so it's fun for both kind of ways, And how do you make it so you can like bang each other, or bang your characters, right? Like, that's fucking cool, right? So that's where we're at. Like, we don't know which one's going to be. We're talking through both ideas, but like definitely Star Justice would be an amazing, awesome first-person shooter. I would want to make it like Wolfenstein or like Titanfall 2 with a lot of wall riding, super fast action, awesome weapons, carnage, really get the whole and Tiger Rage in there. Or we could do a Space Knight thing that I think I would make like a roguelike thing where you get to make your own badass knight, or your crew of badass knights, and you get to go and jump in the world, do a bunch of really cool fucking shit. So both those ideas are really exciting to me. So we don't know what we're gonna do next, but that's what we're talking about. But again, first we're working on Tamer, so gotta get that good.
Gotta finish that first.
Yep, for sure.
Boog says, Scott, don't worry about the AI bubble. It will implode, and the major corpos' AIs get censored so much you will never get one that replicates your work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And Boog, if you get like goal, you show me the trailer. I didn't really set up a like goal for this stream. I got too distracted by all of the disasters. Marksman, chat will fund milking farm when Footfish returns. Oh. Threats. And Sajad, you should introduce Ultra V. Oh, God. I do have a friend who's actually making an adult game as well, actually, yeah, with a 2D pixel art, more in the Japanese style. So you might have interest to talk to him at some point, too. Marksman, I learned about your game through a channel that reviews adult games called Yippee Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon. That video was a pleasant surprise. Put this towards Oren. I bet short like Mouse Girl, the humuf agenda continues.
Yeah, that was a great video that he did.
Seduction Doppelganger, what if a LGB movement arose whose sole position was don't associate with those LGBT plus AD blah 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 freaks? It would have my full support. That's what would happen then. My full and undivided support.
All right.
Fun. Marksman, Michael, there is a professor on YouTube called Frank Zanu that I think you'll like watching. An African professor whose mission is to feed the truth about Africans to other Africans. That is not the white people's fault if they need to accept reality.
I just found his channel. I'll take a look. Thank you.
Eric Kelly, Michael, with the announcement of Kickstarter no longer funding adult projects, what platform will you use, if you use any, for the next Tamer book? Love the series. Thank you for writing them.
So I wasn't that worried when they made the announcement because they were very much directed towards like real pornography, like actual people pornography pictures and stuff. They made it pretty clear that any kind of artwork or impressions of fantasy type stuff was not going to be impacted. So I didn't, mostly because my core thing was selling a book, and then I had like erotic paintings of the characters as an add-on. So, but even if it was just erotic paintings, I don't think they would have caught it. But they kind of backpedal on that stuff. And their head of publishing is meeting with me this weekend because I'm going to a convention, and they want to sit down with me and talk with me and stuff because they're super happy with everything I've done on Kickstarter, and they want to try to support me in more ways. So I was not worried at all about that stuff. I think the intention was to stop like real pornography, like videos and pictures and stuff from appearing on the platform. But like anyway, like the same thing with Patreon, they have no problem with like artists' renditions of stuff. But they just don't like real life stuff. And I think it's like, these guys are kind of in a pickle because you don't want underage stuff and you don't want underage people seeing stuff. And it's hard to put controls on the internet right now, even though they keep trying. So I'm a little sympathetic to what these guys are doing, but we got the whole argument. Remember, did you ever hear the argument of like the beta versus VHS, right? Like porn was on VHS, it wasn't on beta, so that's why VHS won. But I kind of feel like it's the same thing with the internet, right? Like people are lonely and they want pornography or they want that stuff, right? So they're gonna get it any way they can. So I think there's no way they can stem the tide.
Yeah, I think it's a wasted effort, frankly, and it's just silly. Like, okay. We've had this since the earliest dawn of men. Like, thinking that we can control it now, like, just let people do what they want to fucking do.
Totally. And I think, like, if the issue is kids, then let's focus on that. I agree. Like, I don't want kids to be involved in this industry, and I don't want them viewing the stuff. Like, okay, let's have controls there. But I think they're not, we just have to, kind of aim at that thing instead of saying in general abroad we don't want any of this stuff anymore. Like Texas has banned pornography on the internet. Like I cannot look on Pornhub or whatever any of those sites are. They're just like, nope, you can't. You're not allowed to view these things unless you do a massive age verification thing, right? And I was like, well, I'm not going to do this age verification thing, so I guess I'm just not going to do it, right? So there, I guess the law worked, right? Like it's the same thing with like banning marijuana or whatever, right? Like the same. Like I'm like, I clicked on on Pornhub. I'm like, oh, I can't watch this site because I'm in Texas. All right, I guess I'm not watching porn then, right? So it's the same thing with marijuana. Like it was illegal. I'm like, I guess I'm not smoking pot then because I can't get it, right? So I guess there is some impact to it that, you know, positive or negative, it does work. You know, I know my father-in-law who, you know, when he retired, he never smoked pot ever, was just not into it. But as soon as he retired, he lives in California, and he could just like, I'm retired, what do I do? I'm gonna get pot, right? And so he just smoked pot every day. And then that's kind of how he lived the rest of his life, just, you know, completely in a stoner haze. And no, you know, thoughts at all about like that's good or bad or not. Like I don't really care. You can do whatever you want to do, but he wouldn't have done it if he couldn't have gotten it, right? So I think there is something to be said for that.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Psycho Star, in the wider commentariat, there seems to be discourse between to what amount of work is tolerable, one-drop rule or pattern recognition checklist. And there is going to be a large-scale debate on that. How much is too much, how little is too acceptable, etc. And it's going to have to be judged on a example by example basis. Like some things are going to be popular regardless of what we do, and in that case, standing in opposition to it will only make us look like the screeching harridans that the SJWs were. In other cases, there might be easy cultural victories to win based on this, which will push our worldview further and allow it to be more normalized. So it is important that we are not made to be zealots about this. We have to think a little bit of strategy on this as well, and what benefits us in the long run. And we do need to keep in mind that we don't want to be like the left. So it will be a debate.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the picture circulating around with those guys on the bus with the black woman. Have you seen that from our 4th of July?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, I'm sure some people in chat have seen it. So they're basically like, there's a black woman alone on a bus, and there's all these Confederate men. They're wearing masks and a hat and stuff. And I guess they did some protest about wearing Confederate flags and stuff. And they're all on the bus and stuff. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, these guys are obviously feds, right? And rooters just happened to be on that bus to take a picture of this woman sitting on a bus alone with all these white men around her wearing that outfit. Right. I'm like, oh, that's yeah, sure. And what we know now about like certain groups feeding these, you know, Nazi groups to like certain liberal left groups. Yep. Yeah. So I'm just looking at that picture. I'm like, how could you not just think this is a psyop? Like these are these, and I also was like, all these dudes are like fit and wearing tight shirts and like hats. And I'm like, dude, like if you took 100 dudes in the U.S. and lined them up, like none of these guys would be that fit, right? Like, you know, like maybe a few would be, but like the normal average American male in his 30s has a belly, right? I'm just out there. It just is, right? So like you're gonna take a bunch of these guys, like, you know, and I'm like, these are obviously feds. These are obviously paid actors, right? On a bus. There happened to be one single black woman on there, happened to be rooters on the bus taking a picture, right? I'm like, oh, that's just all really fucking convenient, right? Like, I don't buy it for a second, right? Right?
Yeah. Oh. No, there's definitely some of this that is that is literal psyops, no doubt. And even if it wasn't, okay, what happened to the black woman? Was she fine? Was she not inconvenienced in the slightest?
You already know the answer to that.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't even know about the story and you knew the answer.
It's like, okay, so some dudes dressed up around you. Big fucking whoop, I guess.
Yeah. She wasn't a blonde woman from Ukraine that got stabbed in the neck, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, exactly. Marksman, I was going to wait, but I'm buying your game now.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And Voluptuous Panic is the book, he corrected me, yes. And it is free on Archive. It is actually free. Psychoscisto 102. A stain of woke will always be present because of the people who made the woke media. However, an actor's directors say the art is about X woke thing, but if it is in the art, it's minor or not even there. Artists say woke things about Art Barbie, but you can easily read the opposite, so in the death of the author territory, well, these people think they make one but the other. E. Paul Verhoeven. Yes. Sometimes there will be media that will be made for woke reasons, like Adolescence. I don't know if you've seen that British TV series about a young boy who kills a young girl.
Oh, God.
Was very popular for a while. Was everywhere for a moment there, and it was basically talking about young girls being stabbed by immigrants in essence.
Was it a white boy?
Yes, they had a white boy in the show, but it was
girl
about
black?
a black boy in real life.
And the girl was black, or was she white?
White.
Yeah, well, okay.
But a lot of people look at that as like, oh well, this is obviously very woke. They're pointing out how young white boys will just stab women and hate them for no reason. But I came away with a very different interpretation because it shows you that this is a young boy who has no idea what being a man means. He has no concept of masculinity. He is a product of our modern day liberal society, not fascism or anti-wokeism or anything like that. In fact, if he was in contact with anti-wokeism, he probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Well, and then there is like, I don't want to go out there and say like us men out in culture are doing everything we can, right? So I've got a story to tell you if you like stories. This will be a quick one. So I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I've got you encounter like a wide friend group there, and I've got a really good friend there, and he's probably in his like mid to late 20s, and I'm my middle 40s. So, and this guy was like, hey, can you come to all my Halloween parties? Or he invites me to his parties all the time. My wife and I go, but they're all like, we're just the old people there, right? But we go and hang out with these kids. And it wasn't a Halloween party, but it was I think they were like engagement party that they had, and we're there at the party, and they're all younger and stuff, but they're like nice. And this woman comes in, young woman, she's in her like 20s, and she's dressed in like this amazing red dress, and she looks like fantastic. She is like wearing heels. She looks so good. And she sits down at the table right next to us. And there's a guy I was talking to that's a friend of my friend. And he's a handsome dude. And she looks at her and she looks at him. And I could tell they were both like, she's like, oh, you're fine, and they knew each other. I guess they've been to a couple of parties together. And she's like, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, I'm going good. How you doing? He's like, oh, you're dressed up. He's like, oh yeah, I had this work event. And she works like in this executive team in her 20s and this company, and she's like, we had this meeting, this and that to go along, and she's like, so we haven't talked in like a couple months, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm just like flying couches and stuff, and like I don't really have a job. I'm house sitting here, and then I'm gonna house at this other place, and I'm preparing to go on this camping trip. I'm gonna drive cross country and stuff. And I could just see this woman deflate, right? I could just see her go, oh, fucking loser, right? Because here was this guy who was good looking, and all she wanted him to say was like, oh, I've got this good job, and I've got this career thing, I've got a plan. She did not want him to say, yeah, I'm living on couches, right? And I'm like, what is fucking wrong with this guy, right? And she was pretty and dressed up and like single and like was obviously interested in him for like a half a second until he started saying bullshit like that, right? And this guy, I don't know what his feels are about women, but like, I hope this guy isn't like, oh man, fucking women are just so stupid. They're so stuck up. They're so spoiled. I'm like, no, dude, like, you get a job, bro. Like, get a job, man. Like, like, cause you could have dated this girl. All she wanted to hear was you had a plan, right? All she wanted to hear was you're going to be a provider, right? She doesn't want to be the provider. She wants the woman's role, right? She wants to date a guy that's badass and going to be a provider, and you aren't that guy, right? So like, this is just one thing I saw there, but I know a lot of guys complain about, the gender wars and stuff like that. And it's like, well, be that guy, be that provider, go out there, get a job, like improve yourself, make this shit, right? And then if you have a problem getting a girl, like, okay, cool, there's something wrong with women. But like, I feel like a lot of men just aren't doing that, right? They aren't focusing on a career. They aren't making themselves to be a good provider, because I feel like there's just a lot of women out there that are looking for a guy that is that, and they just aren't finding them. Right. That's my perspective as a guy from just kind of what I've seen out in the stratosphere. Because like, I mean, I would say it was easy for me, but like I had like a job. I was like doing stuff and working on things. I had goals. I had a plan, right? And then I ended up finding someone that was, I felt was way above my league. But she was like, I was just looking for a guy that like had his ducks in a row and like had a plan. And like, he's like, I know you weren't rich, but you had a job and you wanted things and you were working at stuff, because we can't say, because again, we will go back to my books. What is it the heroes do? They provide for the women, they defend, they become badasses, right? Like, if you're a guy, like, that's what we got to do, man. And it can be a thankless job, but it's like, you're not gonna get anything out of life unless you're becoming that guy and you're doing those things.
It's hard work. That is true.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard work, and then also no one gives a shit, dude. Like, it's just expected, right? So I could totally commiserate and be like, yeah, it's hard work being a dude, but like, just, this is it. Like, this is what society's placed on us. Like, we've got to do the heavy lifting. We've got to be the one that takes the pain. We've got to do the one that makes society works. Like, you know, a lot of woke people are going to be like, we don't need men. We don't need this stuff. But like, who fucking repairs the air conditioning units? Who builds the roads? Who builds the bridges? Who builds the buildings? It's not, who does the sewage, right? It's mostly not women. It's mostly dudes, right? And we just got to be those guys, right? And it's, you're not going to get thanks for it. But like, that's just what you got to do, is you got to be that guy.
Chikador, at this point, it seems Israel is its own worst enemy with their actions lately. Has it not ever been thus?
Mm-hmm.
Zaloxon, I'll pay you for the game, but I own it if the platform removes it. I will pirate it. Well, I mean, listen, okay. For one pro-piracy argument, if you're in Germany, where a lot of people are saying that your game was actually banned, then... I mean...
Oh, so you can get the game in Germany, just subscribe to my Patreon, and we'll give you the key. And you can play it still, but you just can't leave a review. But you can get the game, you can get a code for the game on my Patreon for the game. So it's Ride the Line Studios Patreon. You can go there and then you can get the code. So yeah, we have tons of Germans playing the game. You can't buy it there because, you know, Germany's going to do Germany things. But we can get you the code and you can play it. And we have it translated in German.
Nathan Cassidy, look into Quickie, a love hotel story. A good game with good art, good gameplay loop, good story and character. Great example of how to do it right. Quickie, awesome. A love hotel story. I'll have a look at it later.
Yeah.
Ochikado, I am to the point it is the voice actors I follow more than the author for books.
That's fair.
Tamer does have very good voice actors too. Very good voice actors.
Yep.
James Hutchinson, when the hell is the next Monster Empire out?
I've actually been working on it, so soon.
Soon. And Ash Hawk, I'm still waiting to see Captain Cross cut loose in open battle in your Space Knight game. I will play a Lancer. Tamer Book Club.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Glad you're excited about that idea.
Hopefully chat will be eager. All right. I think that's all the questions we have for today. So, thank you very much for coming on, Michael. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. I had a great time. It was great talking to you. I love your voice. You got to do like way more radio work. Have you thought about doing audiobooks, narrating? You should.
I don't think anyone would like it. I keep being told that, but I have just as many people telling me they hate my voice, so I think it might be a specific register.
All right. Tell you what. I think your voice would sound awesome on Space Knight as like one of the side characters. Would you be down to do it when we make it?
Of course, I'd be down to do it. It'd be
all right.
Awesome.
Heck yeah! All right, you guys heard it. All right, we're gonna get you in for Space Knight. We could get your voice in the game for sure. That would be awesome.
I'd do it. It'd be fun.
Love it. Cool. Awesome. All right. Is that all you need from me?
That's all we need. So thank you very much, chat, for watching.
I had a great time. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.
And I'll see you all again tomorrow.
Talk to you later.